106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Ian is here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
So I have got to address something that I felt like we talked about yesterday, but apparently it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And it is the idea that the Titans should do whatever it takes to move up to number one and draft Bryce Young with that pick. Now, Rand Carthon was asked about trading the pick or trading back, trading up, whatever, and he said they're always open for business. Now, we did hear around the Super Bowl that the Bears blog had said that two teams had reached out for the number one pick and that the Titans were one of the two that had reached out to the Bears for the number one pick. Now, the Bears are letting it be known at the Combine that they plan to move forward with Justin Fields, and so they're out of the Bryce Young sweepstakes. They are trying to really hype up the Bryce Young sweepstakes, if nothing else. And so when Joe Rexrode writes a column at The Athletic that basically says the Titans should do whatever it takes to get Bryce Young, which included trading Jeffrey Simmons, I thought to myself, well, whoa now. Whoa. You know, if you think Bryce Young's really good, you want to trade up from the 5th overall pick to move to number 3 to get him, that's one thing. But if you're talking about trading multiple firsts and trading Jeffrey Simmons and trading a second-round pick and maybe even trading more in order to get Bryce Young, you better be sure of one thing. You better be sure. And I'm not saying you better be sure that he's going to be a good quarterback or that you have to think he's the best quarterback in the class. You better be sure. You better know 100% that he's not just going to be a good quarterback, but that he is going to be an elite level franchise guy, period. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts when it comes to that. Now, I like Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young balled out at Alabama this past year. But Bryce Young is little. You do know that. He will weigh in later this week. My guess is I expect him to come in under 6 foot. I expect him to come in under 200 pounds. Most quarterbacks are well over 6 foot. 6'3", 6'4", 225, 235. Peyton Manning probably wasn't 190 pounds after the 7th grade. So when you're talking about drafting a quarterback number one, and you're talking about trading all the way up from 11, you better know. If you're going to give up Jeffrey Simmons to go get a rookie quarterback who is undersized, you better know. There can't be I think Bryce Young's the best quarterback in this class. Because guess what? The best quarterback in that class is not necessarily the best quarterback, period. And once you take a guy, it doesn't matter if you drafted him in 2023 or 2022 or 2024 or 2028. It doesn't matter that Mahomes was drafted in 2017 and that Joe Burrow was drafted in 2020. That doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about, well, he's the best guy this year. That doesn't matter. The best guy in the 2015 class was Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's about to get cut off of a $14 million salary in New Orleans because Jameis Winston ain't that good. So if you're going to make the trade up from the 11th overall pick, first of all, I don't think it should cost that much. I don't think it should cost 3 1s and a 2, and Simmons is more than a 1 because he's an established superstar. So you're talking about essentially 4 1s and a 2 in order to move up and go get Bryce Young. If you're going to do that, you better know that he is going to be as good as Patrick Mahomes. You better know that he's going to be as good as Joe Burrow. And if he's not, everybody gets fired. And not just you, because your staff gets fired, their families get fired. And this is the question that I wonder. Because, again, it's easy today for Joe Rexrode just to write at The Athletic because he watched Alabama play a couple times on TV. It's easy for Joe to write The Titans should do whatever it takes to get Bryce Young, even if it means Jeffrey Simmons. But let me ask you all this question. If you had the ability to trade all of that today for Trevor Lawrence, would you? Would you trade 3 first-round picks and Jeffrey Simmons, or 2 first-round picks and Jeffrey Simmons and a second-round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars today in order to get Trevor Lawrence? And I don't think you would. Because even though Trevor Lawrence has the pedigree of being the guy, he was the number 1 pick the day he signed with Clemson. He was the number 1 pick when he crushed Alabama in the national championship game. He was the number 1 pick when he declared for the draft. He was the number 1 pick throughout the entire draft process, and he had a good second season. But even then, when you look at Trevor Lawrence, can you tell me today that you think he's a Hall of Famer? Can you tell me today that you think you're going to win the Super Bowl with Trevor Lawrence? Not the, this could, and again, that's fine. If you take him at 9 and you move up with a pick for next year's draft and you move from 11 to 9 and you take him and say, hey, here's our plan for developing the kid and this is what our expectation is. But if you're trading Jeffrey Simmons and you're trading all these assets to move up to number 1, it better not be I think we can win. It better be we are going to win. I know the Andrew Luck thing didn't play out the way people wanted it to because Indianapolis got him killed. But when Jim Irsay said that they were releasing Peyton Manning in order to draft Andrew Luck, he talked about how it was about winning championships. And at that time, he was right. Andrew Luck was everything he was billed to be. He just got hurt, and he didn't have the longevity of becoming that superstar. But that's exactly what this better be. If you're moving up for Bryce Young and you're not moving up from 2 like the Texans, you're moving up from 11, he better be Andrew Luck in your book when you grade him. They better have the same grades that Andrew Luck had coming out, the same grades that Peyton Manning had coming out of Tennessee, the same grades that John Elway had coming out. And you better know. There better not be a question about, can Bryce handle this or can Bryce that, or again, you're talking about selling your franchise to move up to number 1. And let's just use history as kind of the devil's advocate here, right? Are you sure? Are you sure that he's going to be better than Kyler Murray? Because Kyler Murray, the Cardinals had taken a quarterback in the top 10 the year before, and they gutted that pick. And they went out and hired a new coach, and they went out and changed their entire organization for Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray had won the Heisman, and the only real knock on Kyler at that point was Kyler's size. Now, I like Bryce Young's attitude more than I liked Kyler, but Kyler's attitude has kind of been more of an issue since he's entered the NFL than it was in college, though there was that whole why do you leave Texas A&M and go to Oklahoma kind of thing. But you have to be sure that he's better than Kyler Murray, because if he's Kyler Murray, you lose. And there's a pretty good chance, just based on history, that he's not even going to be Kyler Murray. So he's got to be better than Kyler Murray. You have to know that. You have to know that he's not Jameis Winston. You have to know that he's going to be better than Baker Mayfield. You're going to have to know that he's not going to get injured at his size. And he did get injured last year. I love the people that are like, well, that's only 1 year that he got injured. He only played 2. You're going to have to know that he's not going to get injured. Like Mariota got injured. Like Tua Tagovailoa has gotten injured. Like Trey Lance has gotten injured. You're going to have to know that. You're going to have to know that that size is not going to be an issue when he goes to your team that right now doesn't have an offensive line. And if you give away 2 first-round picks, you're not really going to be able to make that offensive line better. You better know. And you better know that he's not going to be like Sam Darnold, who went to the Jets with the 3rd overall pick and sucked. You better hope that he's not going to be like Zach Wilson. Remember Zach Wilson? Remember when is Zach Wilson better than Trevor Lawrence? Remember the Jets oh, no, we're not trading with San Francisco. We're not moving from 2 to 3 because we're drafting Zach Wilson. Bryce Young better not be that guy. Let's just go over the quarterbacks over the last 10 years. These are, according to Pro Football Reference, the weighted value, however you want to make it. This is the best quarterback in each draft class over the last 10 years. And you tell me if you think 2 first-round picks in Jeffrey Simmons is worth this and the second-round pick. Ian, you say yes or no. You give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Geno Smith.
No, thank you.
Derek Carr.
No, thank you.
Jameis Winston.
No, thank you.
Dak Prescott.
Dak's not terrible.
Did you trade 3 first-round picks for him?
No.
Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I think we know that.
Lamar Jackson.
3 first-round picks for Lamar.
Or 2 Simmons and a second, as Joe suggests.
No, I don't think so.
Kyler.
No.
Herbert.
Maybe, yeah.
Burrow and Herbert are neck and neck as far as value is concerned. I mean, I would do it for Burrow.
They're pretty close. Just strictly age, especially for Herbert. And if you get him out of there with Staley, you never know.
Lawrence or Fields?
I would consider it for Lawrence, I think.
I don't think I would do it for Lawrence.
I would consider it. It's
I don't
still
think
a
I would
little
do
early.
it. I still think with Lawrence, I think there's a chance that Lawrence is going to be a good starting quarterback and that he's not going to ascend into Super Bowl champion franchise guy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to make the move to go up to number 1 in order to get Bryce Young, you better not just think he's the best quarterback of this class, because Derek Carr is the best quarterback of his class, but he has to be one of the future NFL 100 guys. Like, he has to be. You have to know today, when you make that trade, that he is going to have a career like Brett Favre's, like Roger Staubach's, like John Elway's, like Dan Marino's, like Peyton Manning's, like Tom Brady's, like Otto Graham's, like Sammy Baugh's, Johnny Unitas, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's what it has to be. And I'm not a quarterback guru. I'm not an inside expert, but my guess is the Chicago Bears don't even think that, and that's why they say we're going to go forward with Fields. If Andrew Luck was available in this draft, if Joe Burrow was on the board, do you think that the Chicago Bears would be sticking with Justin Fields? So it's fun to say, I love Bryce Young, and Titans have to go up and get a quarterback. Titans need to be bold. But if you're going to do all of that to go up and get the number 1 pick, he better be a Super Bowl winning franchise Hall of Fame quarterback. And I'm sorry, but Bryce Young's 2 seasons with no national championships at Alabama have not told me that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025. Off and running. Your thoughts. And, I mean, I like Bryce Young fine. Not the end of the world as far as do I think he's going to be that great. And then there's one thing that D-Mace keeps saying as far as the Titans and the quarterback position is concerned. And I have to be honest with you. I know what he means, but I don't totally understand the point that is being made and echoed by a lot of you. And we'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, rocking and rolling right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
They can be a fully formed model of what they're going to be offensively moving forward.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
You don't know what's going to happen with the roster or the team.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
This is a good lesson about sports and what we think and what actually happens.
Chad Withrow on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get up to 38% off in every department, including 4K TVs, furniture, computers and tablets, housewares, mattresses, smart home, and more. We have all of your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 3 years free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors, rated #1 in durability and owner experience. They're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for up to 72 months, plus save up to $800 on select equipment. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
There's nobody on the planet who's as picky when it comes to diamonds as Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon.
I'm very, very selective on the diamond that I pick.
Indeed, Boaz will look at 2,000 diamonds on the world market and find maybe 2 or 3 that meet his criteria.
What most people don't know, and even jewelers, a diamond has much more than the 4 C's. He has maybe 20 C's.
Like the diamond's luster grade or brilliance level, its feathering, its inclusions, its table, its polish, its symmetry, even the diamond's own DNA or X-ray report, which most jewelers don't even know about.
I refuse to sell diamonds that don't go through our very, very strict criteria.
Which means a Genesis diamond is one she can be proud to wear, with the most sparkle and brilliance and real intrinsic value.
This is my goal, to go all over the world and find only the best hand-selected diamond.
Genesis Diamonds, setting the highest quality standards in the jewelry business. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
When looking to buy or sell a new home, economy comes into play, right? Hey, it's Withrow. Hunter, Richard, and the crew at Regal Realty Group are in the know about the housing market. Rates have started going back down and are more feasible, and Nashville is on the upswing again. The Regal Realty Group team can help you from contract to closing and everything in between. Their in-house title company, Monarch, will even come to wherever you are to close. These days, it's all about convenience, and Regal Realty Group makes it so convenient. Give them a call at 866-OUTKICK and let them get to work for you.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What do you think about the quarterbacks in this draft?
I mean, I missed the memo that little quarterbacks are back in vogue. I missed that. I didn't know. Bryce Young's a really good collegiate quarterback. He's 185 pounds, maybe 190. I don't know. He's under 6 feet. I think it's hard. 70 quarterbacks played this year in the NFL, the most since the strike. That means the durability and the health of these quarterbacks is a question. You take a little guy, that's going to be even more a question.
There you go. That was Michael Lombardi, former NFL general manager on our show at the Super Bowl. And so I hear this with Bryce Young a lot. I'm not worried about Bryce Young's size. I mean, he was little for Alabama, and he was dominating at Alabama, so I can't. Right. And here's an NFL general manager saying, whoa now. What are we doing here with these small quarterbacks? We're not going to put a small guy out there with these bigger guys in the NFL and expect him not to get hurt. He got hurt last year. Now, one thing that D-Mace kept saying today, and I must have heard him say this while listening intermittently today, like I was running errands and I was listening, and then I was riding the bike and I was listening, but it wasn't like I was listening to that show for all 3 hours. But I kept hearing him say over and over and over again that this is the only time the Titans are going to be in a position with the 11th overall pick to go get their quarterback of the future. And I get it, because I agree. I think with Vrabel as the coach and with Tannehill as the quarterback, you're likely to win way too many games to be picking 11th next year. I get it. Not arguing with that. But when it comes to drafting and finding the franchise guy, I think it is more about who you take than it is when you pick. And I think it is how you develop more necessarily than it is how high did you get up in the draft. And I'll explain. Because Josh Allen didn't go number 1 overall. The Buffalo Bills were not terrible, had a horrible season, picked at number 1, and drafted Josh Allen. That was the Cleveland Browns, who didn't win any games that year and held the number 1 pick, and they drafted Baker Mayfield. In fact, Buffalo made the playoffs for the first time in almost 20 years since the Music City Miracle. It was the first time that they had made the playoffs the year before they went and got Josh Allen. But what happened was they knew they wanted a quarterback. They scouted the quarterbacks. They met with the quarterbacks. They evaluated the quarterbacks, and they decided they liked Josh Allen. And then it took them 2 trades to move up from the 20s to number 7 on draft night and take Josh Allen. Then they knew we are not going to be very good. We're going to play good defense. We're going to run the ball. We're going to protect our young quarterback. Andy Reid's Chiefs were the number 2 team in the AFC. They lost a divisional round game at home to the Steelers at the very end of the game on a controversial holding call before they drafted Patrick Mahomes in the first round. And they moved up from the 20s to pick number 10. They scouted, they liked, and they had a plan. Alex Smith starts, Mahomes sits on the bench, Andy Reid, Matt Nagy develop, bang, Patrick Mahomes. They weren't bad when they went and got him. The Green Bay Packers in 2004 were 10-6, won their division, and then drafted Aaron Rodgers, and he sat the bench for 3 years. So they didn't have to go up to number 1 and draft Alex Smith. The Chiefs didn't have to go all the way up to number 2 and draft Mitchell Trubisky. They didn't have to go up that high. Think about that. Sure, Peyton Manning, you have to be bad to get. Andrew Luck, you have to be bad to get. Joe Burrow, you have to be bad to get. And some of those guys, to me, are just once-in-a-lifetime kind of guys. Somehow the Colts have had 3 cracks at it. Now, they screwed up the Elway thing. They got Manning, and then they got Luck and screwed that up. And that is, you want to talk about the organizational incompetence. To have the pick to be able to draft John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck and get 1 Super Bowl out of it is embarrassing. By the way, Dan Marino with the Dolphins. You want to know how Miami did the year before they went and drafted Dan Marino? Because again, and I'm not calling out D-Mace here. You know I love you. But he's saying what a lot of you believe, and I think Joe wrote this too in The Athletic, which is this is the time you're picking 11. If you're going to be able to go up and get your quarterback, now's the time to do it. Now's the only chance you're going to have. The Miami Dolphins made it to the Super Bowl the year before they drafted Dan Marino. So you see what I'm saying? It's not that simple. I think that a lot of people think it's easy. I think a lot of people think, this isn't the NHL, where in the NHL, in order to get the high-end, powerful forwards that are big, can skate, can score, McDavid, Crosby, in order to get that guy, Kane, you have to be terrible. Basketball, you want to get up there and you want to draft LeBron James, you better be bad. This is not that. Because all the teams that have these great quarterbacks outside of Cincinnati, they didn't pick first. So don't get too caught up in that. Again, when I go over these top quarterbacks, these are the top quarterbacks that were selected over the last 10 years. And you tell me how many times you see this and go, ugh. E.J. Manuel, Blake Bortles, Jameis Winston, Jared Goff, Mitch Trubisky, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Kenny Pickett. How many times do you look at E.J. Manuel, Blake Bortles, I don't want any part of that. I mean, so just keep that in mind when it's like, got to go up and get the quarterback, got to go make the move, got to do it, got to go, got to get him, got to have him, got to. I hear you. I get you. But at the same time, I mean, I think it's crazy to think that all of a sudden, because you liked Bryce Young in college, and I like Bryce Young. I mean, I thought Bryce Young was a magician with the football at times at Alabama. And sure, they lost 2 games. It wasn't Bryce Young's fault they lost to Tennessee. Bryce Young didn't drop the pass that Jahmyr Gibbs did. Bryce Young didn't let Tennessee just move right down the field. Bryce Young didn't put a safety on Jalen Hyatt to let him run by him every time for a touchdown. It's not Bryce Young's fault. The reason that they were in those games was because of Bryce Young. The reason they beat Texas on the run was because of Bryce Young. But again, I'm not interested in putting all of my eggs in his basket. Now, there are some players that I've seen play college ball, and you knew. And I say that's what I thought of Jameis Winston. When Jameis Winston was at Florida State, Heisman Trophy winner, undefeated, national title, big size, big arm, athletic, could really see the game well. The only problem was that off the field, he was a complete and total just freaking scumbag. But as far as playing was concerned, Jameis Winston is one of the best college players I think I'm not going to say I've ever seen, but Jameis Winston is one of the best. And I thought he had all the tools in the tool bag. And how has Jameis played? 615-737-1025. You all are loaded. So we will get to your phones on this. 615-737-1025. Short show today because the Predators play at 6 o'clock tonight. So we're doing it like everybody else does. 3 hours today. 615-737-1025 link. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game. Hey, our Nashville's best deal of the week this week is 312 Pizza Company. That's right. 312 Pizza Company serves the best pizza in town, as well as Chicago-style eats like Chicago Dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, and more. Get half off a $30 gift card to 312 Pizza Company at thegamenashville.com/deals now while supplies last.
Tonight.
Comes in from the left side. That shot close down by UC Saros.
The Predators head to the Sunshine State to take on the Florida Panthers. Pre-game at 5. Puck drop at 6 on your home for Nashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, Willie Donick here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. That's 100%. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loans. Consolidate all your payments into one check per month and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. And Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now. See what your options are. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Sports and leadership go hand in hand. In fact, 94% of women executives were student athletes. Play Like a Girl is creating a more equal playing field for the next generation of women in leadership. You can help too. Become a mentor, donor, or volunteer. Learn more at iplaylikeagirl.org/mentor.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The NHL trade deadline is Friday at 2 o'clock. Are the Preds going to make another move from now until then? We'll break down all of the NHL trade deadline news on Caroline Willie D-Mace from 11 to 2 on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
I'm a Bryce Young guy.
Yeah.
You know, I know he's probably sub 6 feet, and people talk about injuries, but I mean, when you talk to anyone that really matters at Alabama, anyone that really matters, not just anyone, anyone that really matters, everyone says the same thing. It's between the ears that makes the difference with this guy. Not only can he do everything, but he seems to be well advanced. And my problem is, you draft a guy at the top of the draft, you need him ready to play early.
Yeah. That's right.
Because you're not drafting him to sit him on the bench. You're drafting him to play him. So you better bring some guy who's pro-ready. And I think out of all those quarterbacks, the guy who's most pro-ready, having worked under Saban and Billy O'Brien, would be Bryce Young.
There you go. That was Coach Charlie Weiss live at the Combine on SiriusXM NFL Radio, and he's talking about, I'm a Bryce Young guy. I am too. I think Bryce Young's a great quarterback. If I were the Texans, I would be doing everything in my power, short of trading the number 12 pick, to move up to number 1 to keep Indianapolis from going out and getting Bryce Young. Because I think Bryce Young's a really good player. Now, he measured in under 6 foot today at 5'10.5", which means he's a half an inch taller than Kyler Murray. He's a little dude, and that is a big deal in the NFL. Tom Landry told Bill Parcells, if you draft an exception, pretty soon you will be drafting a team full of exceptions. And that's why, again, the surefire, no doubt, number ones, they're Elway size, they're Manning size, they're Burrow size. That's what they are, not Bryce Young size. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Kevin says, conceptually, the idea that the Titans should move up to take a franchise quarterback is correct, but these are not the guys to make that move for. I love Bryce Young's abilities, but he's going to get crushed in the NFL. Shoulder injuries, rib injuries, concussions, all waiting to happen. Now is not the time for Bryce Young. He is not the guy to sell the farm for. Now, let me say this about Bryce Young. And again, I like Bryce Young. But if Bryce Young were that guy that you would be saying, hey, we have got to sell the farm to go up and get this guy. If Bryce Young were that guy, Chicago would not be trading this pick. Chicago would be trading Justin Fields. Justin Fields is an established NFL starter who has shown flashes of the potential to be really good. But deep down inside, we all know that winning is a quarterback stat. How many games did Justin Fields win last year? Oh, he was the worst in the league. Thank you. And it wasn't like Justin Fields played in the NFC East where he had to go up against Dallas and the Giants and even Washington's good defense and, of course, Philadelphia. No, he had to play Detroit, okay. Green Bay, okay. Minnesota, okay. And they couldn't win any games. They couldn't win any. So if Bryce Young was that dude, if Bryce Young was Andrew Luck, if Bryce Young was Trevor Lawrence, then they would be trading Justin Fields. They would be getting 2 first-round picks probably in return, maybe even more, and they would be then drafting their guy at number 1. And when you say, you got to sell the farm to go up and get this guy, if there's a guy that's that good, he doesn't get traded off that pick. Jared Goff got traded off that pick. Carson Wentz got traded off that pick. I remember in the run-up to the 2020 draft, the Dolphins had tanked in 2019. And remember the whole tank for Tua, and then all of a sudden Joe Burrow outplayed Tua. And then there was a lot of talk about who was QB2 going to be at number 5. Everybody knew that Burrow was going to be number 1. Everybody knew that Chase Young was going to be number 2. After that, you knew Detroit with Matthew Stafford. They weren't taking a quarterback. I forgot who had the 4th pick, but they weren't taking a quarterback. And so it might have been the Giants. And so here you are at 5, Miami. You know they need a quarterback. Are they taking Tua? He just busted up his hip. But is Justin Herbert any good? We don't know. And there was all this talk. And then all of a sudden it got out there that the Miami Dolphins were interested in trading up in order to draft Joe Burrow. And I remember when that report came out, Miami would be willing, and they had 3 first-round picks. Miami would be willing to make that move to go up and draft Joe Burrow. And I remember thinking, no, duh, but they're not going to get Joe Burrow. And Cincinnati was also not interested in trading that pick. There is no way they could have gotten that pick. Remember, Indianapolis had the number 1 pick in 2012, and they punted on Peyton Manning. I don't think they would have punted on Peyton Manning for RG3. Texter says, the question is, do the Titans want Bryce, but do you want the Colts or the Texans to draft them? I mean, you're going to have to live with that. There's no reason to move up to draft somebody just so the Colts don't draft them, just so the Texans don't draft them. You have to do what's best for your team. And so if you're going to move up from 11 to go try to keep the Colts from getting that quarterback, he better be Joe Burrow. And the quarterback that they get better not be Justin Herbert. Because as much as I love Burrow, and I do, if I'm getting Joe Burrow and you're getting Justin Herbert, but then you have your first-round pick next year, and you have your second-round pick next year, and you have Jeffrey Simmons, and all those things I traded to move up that Joe says he'd be willing to get to go up and move up to number 1, I don't have them, now I'm screwed. And you know that as well as I do. That's the problem. Texter into the text line says that if Bryce Young ends up being the next Peyton Manning, are you going to admit that you were wrong about him? Sure. That he's not this kind of prospect. I mean, I remember when we were doing shows after the Titans had moved on from Mariota in 2019, and we were talking about Justin Herbert because we knew the Titans weren't going to be bad enough to get the first overall pick. We figured they'd probably pick 6th or 7th or something like that. And we were talking about Herbert, and are these quarterbacks in the draft any good? Or are they going to need to try to get Tom Brady? Or, are they going to have to be out there looking at Jameis Winston? Or, well, what's going to happen? And I remember people calling in and saying, I don't want Justin Herbert because I don't want the quarterback from Oregon because we already had the quarterback from Oregon, and that was no good. And I was like, okay, I think that's kind of foolish, but I don't know if Herbert's going to be any good. We had Herm Edwards on the show, and we asked him. He was coaching at Arizona State. And we said, how good's this quarterback at Oregon? And I remember he said to Floyd, Coach, he's real good. I mean, he's real good. And I remember hearing that thinking, well, Herm would know better than I would, and I still wasn't sold that Justin Herbert was going to be that dude. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think that he's going to be the next Peyton Manning, or at least I shouldn't say think. I don't know. And if you're moving up, you have to know. You have to know that he's going to be that player if you're moving up and selling all those assets off to get that player. Texter says what's really going to suck is if the Texans get Bryce Young, and then for the next 10 or 15 years, they sweep them every year with Bryce Young when the Titans had the chance to go up and get him. First of all, I'm not convinced the Titans have the chance to go up and get Bryce Young. And secondly, to the point of they're going to have him for the next 10 or 15 years. How many times have we heard that? There has been one guy in the AFC South since its inception in 2002 that was a high number 1 pick who dominated the division. Peyton Manning. Outside of that, and Peyton dominated the division. Peyton, in my opinion, and I would rank him ahead of Montana for one reason. Peyton had to go against Tom Brady. Montana did not. Montana, Elway was in the AFC, and he had to go against him. But as far as, it was Phil Simms and the Giants back in his day of guys that he'd have to go through. He didn't have to go through. Joe Montana didn't have to go through Tom Brady every year. Peyton Manning did. So I would go with Manning over Montana. And I still love Montana. But again, you're talking about the second greatest quarterback, in my opinion, of all time here. That's the one guy who has owned this division. Andrew Luck, sure, he beat the Titans. The Titans were freaking bad. But the Texans won the division in 2012, and the Texans won the division in 2015, and the Texans won the division in 2016, and Jacksonville won it in 17, and Houston won it in 18, and Houston won it in 19, and you won it in 2020, and you won it in 21, and Jacksonville won it. So, I mean, Andrew Luck, he didn't own this division. And every time that a team that you're going to have to play in your division gets a high pick, there's always the risk that you're going to have to play that quarterback every year. And I'm still not worried about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. And I think that there is a chance that Trevor Lawrence will be really, really, really good. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be Joe Burrow. I don't think he has the killer mentality inside of him that it takes for him to have that next step. Remember, year 2, everybody was gushing about Patrick Mahomes. He was league MVP. Year 2, Joe Burrow was in the Super Bowl. Year 2, Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. Year 2, Trevor Lawrence ended up making the playoffs by 2 minutes and 50 seconds because Josh Dobbs fumbled the ball. That's it. Trevor was awful in that last game against the Titans. But people forget that because the narrative is Trevor turned the corner and on the Jags go. And I even heard Doug Peterson talking about that this week at the Combine. Just, oh yeah, the sky's the limit for Trevor. I don't buy that. And so I'm not worried. You're going to tell me that I need to be worried about Bryce Young over the next 10 or 15 years if he ends up with the Colts or the Texans. I don't even feel that way about Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence was a better prospect coming out than Bryce Young is. But just because you're a better prospect coming out doesn't mean that you're going to be that dude. And again, Bryce Young had a great college career. It is not his fault that Jamison Williams popped his ACL on that turf. It is not his fault that Jahmyr Gibbs dropped that pass against Tennessee. It is not his fault that his defense couldn't get a stop against LSU. I get it. But Bryce Young, with a loaded roster at Alabama, did not win the national championship once. That is concerning to me. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. TD from the Combine in the next hour. But we got to give a shout-out here. David Poyle did it again last night. I cannot believe the way I feel about David Poyle this week compared to how I felt about David Poyle last week. I don't even know what's up anymore. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hi guys, it's Mark with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. Our wave technology is backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, but we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but it's free to those who call in the next 2 minutes. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark again from Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Come join us before any Preds game or concert at Bridgestone Arena. Enjoy one of our prime steaks. Why Bob's, you may ask? Because at Bob's, we not only serve prime beef, but the top 2% of prime beef in the world. Try our certified Japanese A5 or Australian tomahawks. So come see us at Omni before you go to any game and make sure to ask for Chef Mark. Let's go Preds.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-364-9188. 800-364-9188. 800-364-9188.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
They're insightful.
To me, you got a left guard situation you got to figure out.
Credible.
I trust this guy more than this guy.
But sometimes they just argue.
Why do you like the NFL playoffs? Those teams lose.
I don't want college football to be the NFL.
When they get...
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We just tried to address the situation with the guys, and I think that's sometimes the job as leaders of the team. I think, Roman's done a really good job. McDonough's been a big help, and just really communicating with the players and talking about it, that this is the situation that we're in. And we talk with our guys all the time. You got to be where your feet are. And sometimes things go really well. Sometimes you're in an adverse situation. We can't hide from it. We can't not talk about it. We can't address it, and just continue to talk with them. How are we going to handle these situations? This is the situation that is going on. It's our jobs as coaches and players to talk about it, to face it head on, and to take the right actions that you need to take in this type of situation. And so far, I think the guys have done a really, really good job with that.
There you go. That was John Hines this morning on Robbie and Joe. And again, the news, David Boyle last night deals Mikhail Granlund for a second-round pick to the Pittsburgh Penguins with no salary retained. Now, I told you all last night that I was going to try out Solomon Wilcott's voodoo pills, a.k.a. Composure, that he pimped out on our show at the Super Bowl, that he was pumping out there. And so last night I took a Composure. And honestly, wasn't bad. And so I'm sitting there watching TV. I'm watching the Vandy, Kentucky game was great last night. Excellent game. So incredibly exciting to watch. So I'm watching that. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm getting calm with my Composure. And all of a sudden, Adam Vingan texts me, and it's that the Predators have traded Mikhail Granlund for a second-round pick. And I thought, what? What? They did what? And I'm like, they had to retain some salary on this one. Because Mikhail Granlund was becoming an albatross on the roster, an unmovable contract. A guy who gives it his all. He's a good guy. He's a good player. You don't want to say anything bad about him, but on the ice, he freaking sucks, and he's got 3 more years left at $5 million a crack. Just like you can't get rid of Duchesne's contract, just like you can't get rid of Johansson's contract, Granlund was approaching that territory. And I think I even said it yesterday on the show, that as great as all these picks in the trading is, a lot of the same problems that David had, he's going to pass on to Barry. Like, Barry's going to have to deal and work around Granlund's contract as he continues to decline. And then the Penguins just took it. They just took it. This was the cherry on top. And here's what somebody's going to have to explain to me. For 5 years, David Poyle has done dumb crap. For 5 years. A first-round pick for Ryan Hartman, elevating Dante Fabro way too quickly, Fiala for Granlund, all the things they tried, firing Laviolette, trying to salvage that season, going all in on Matt Duchene. I mean, everything that he did, none of it ever worked. He retooled, would not sell at the 20 deadline, kept Craig Smith, kept Mikhail Granlund, even though I begged to sell, kept him, got bounced in the bubble series, kept everybody in 21, got bounced in the first round, traded a second-round pick for Jeremy Lauzon, handled the Forsberg negotiations horribly, got worked over in that, and I'm like, David has completely lost it. It was so utterly frustrating. Releases Ellie Tolvin and gets nothing in return. And then all of a sudden in the last week, once David has put his hands up and said, we're not trying to win the cup anymore, it's over, moving on, he has made one big boom move after another. Boom, makes the move with Niederreiter for the second-round pick. Now, I didn't love the return, but I got it. And cleared up the space and everything else. Boom, the absolute A-plus knockout punch for Tanner Jeannot. Boom, the Ekholm deal with Edmonton, in which the Predators get picks, and they get a young prospect, and they get a defenseman to essentially replace Ekholm. Boom, the Granlund deal. I mean, the Granlund deal is the cherry on top because I figured nobody would want Mikhail Granlund. He freaking sucks. And by the way, they are about to riot in Pittsburgh. This Ron Hextall, the general manager up there, I mean, they're going to run him out of town. The beat writer who covers the Penguins for The Athletic essentially pointed to wrote a column this morning, pointing to the Granlund trade, saying this is why they need to fire Ron Hextall. Apparently, they've been chanting fire Hextall at games in Pittsburgh. Apparently, they had no cap space, and they found a way to get some cap space, and then they went and used it on Granlund. And as much as I told you all yesterday that I love these picks, and I do, because the more picks you have, the more cracks at it you get. That's the more opportunities. If you love Chet Pickard, you can draft him in the first round, and you'll get another shot at it to draft Roman Josi in the second. That is what I love about this, is that the guys who get paid millions of dollars to draft these guys in hockey, unless McDavid is there or Crosby is there or Kane is there, unless that guy's there, the chances of you getting it right are not very high because, again, a lot of these are just freaking crapshoots. Pecorine in the 8th round. So I love the picks. I love my picks. And I love the fact, too, that not all these picks are this year. Because Forsberg's going to be on the team going forward. Yoshi's going to be on the team going forward. McDonough's going to be on the team going forward. Saros is going to be on the team going forward. And so all of these guys are going to be there next year. Barry is going to try to win next year. Now, I'm not sure that he'll be able to get all the parts and everything else. But I think what Barry is probably thinking, because this is what I'm thinking, is draft some guys that are going to be good this year, get the process going of player development, take the guys that are young right now, Tomasino, Evangelista, Carrier, get them going in the right direction, and fire John Hines, get in a better coach, and you'll probably have a better team next year because you'll never stink with this goalie. And then if you approach next year's deadline and you're good, and you've got cap space to sign guys this offseason, but if you're good next year, you got all these picks, you can deal these picks, and you can be buyers at next year's deadline. You'll have tons of ammo. So Barry's going to be in a great spot. And this clearing of Granlund's $5 million. I mean, I'm looking at Dmitry Orlov, who was in Washington and who is now in Boston. And he's a rental player, and Boston just signed Pasternak. Well, Barry Trotz knows Dmitry Orlov. Left shot D, give him 4 years, $5 million per. Do you think that's too little for Orlov, Ian?
I'm sorry?
4 years by 5 for Orlov.
That's a lot.
You think that's a lot?
Kinda.
I'm saying you've got the space now, and Barry knows them. And so you can you do that, you've replaced Matthias Ekholm right then and there. And those are the things that I'm telling you, like, this week, I don't know how David, who, I had been on his ass and his head had been so far up his butt for a couple of years with some of these deals that every time he'd do something, I would just bang my head into the microphone like, and yet here we are right now this week, and David is just working everybody over. Mikhail Granlund, they took him and they didn't even have to retain salary. And the crazy thing about the Granlund thing for me is that, and I'll tell you, this is crazy. He was awful on Tuesday night. I was sitting up there, in the press box on Tuesday night, and I was watching Granlund pass up shot opportunity after shot opportunity. And I turned to somebody and I'm like, man, Granlund sucks. And they turned to me and oh yeah. And honestly, that's what Pittsburgh saw. And then they traded a second-round pick and took on his contract for the next 3 years. Unbelievable. I do not know how David has – I don't know what's gotten into David. I don't know what, David Boyle, with all these crazy deals over the last couple of years, these bad deals that make no sense at the time, like a second-round pick for Lausanne. And now every move he makes looks like a genius move over the last week. And I think that it's just, I think the pressure of not having to find a way to try to convince everybody they're going to win the cup.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right? They just decided this is going to be the year where they're not going to try and go all in and win the cup.
And now they're making good moves.
So, yeah, probably so.
Unbelievable. TD is at the Combine. He will join us next. What has TD heard from the Titans, both on the record, and what has he heard about the Titans behind the scenes? We'll get TD's thoughts on that. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
Most people picked them to make the playoffs before the season even started.
And your source for Nashville sports.
He can still wait for 5 more games before he makes that decision.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Genesis is actually a new beginning.
Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon talking about why it's called Genesis.
I love the symbolism of the name. It's a new beginning.
Boaz wanted the name of his company to mean something, to reflect his core values and the importance of starting relationships for people in love, as well as the relationship he wants with each and every customer.
It's a new beginning in their life for the relationship between us, the jeweler, the Genesis Diamond, and the customer, and it should last forever. Everything we do is for the customer.
Walk into Genesis and you can feel it. Genuine people who are solely focused on celebrating the best moments of your life.
It's not only my passion, it's my culture. Genesis is the book where God created the world, the day and night, the man and the woman. Every diamond engagement ring that we specially created for the customer is a new beginning for amazing, lasting relationship.
Come start your amazing, lasting relationship today at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This week's Nashville's best deal is 312 Pizza Company, serving the best pizza in town, as well as Chicago-style eats like Chicago dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, and more. It's also a great spot to grab a beer and watch your favorite team on the big screen. 312 Pizza Company, 371 Monroe Street in Germantown. Head to thegamenashville.com/deals and get half off a $30 gift card. It's 312 Pizza Company, while supplies last.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Nashville Predators are back in action tonight as they begin their 6-game road trip down in Florida to take on the Panthers. The team announced yet another trade last night, sending forward Mikhail Granlund to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a second-round pick in this upcoming 2023 draft. Rookie forward Luke Evangelista made his debut on Tuesday. Preds head coach John Hines was on Robbie and Retro this morning and talked about Evangelista's first impression.
Even the other night, we had him out on the 6-on-5. Just the way that he played that game, we felt he deserved to be out in that moment, and I thought he did a good job. So a really good young prospect for us. Great debut. Going to get another good opportunity tonight, and we'll just keep going from there and see how he continues to go, and we'll continue to support him and work with him and try to put him in situations for him that's going to be best for his development.
Kevin Lankinen will get the start in goal for Nashville tonight. Pre-game coverage for Preds versus Panthers starts at 5 with puck drop at 6 right here on the Preds Radio Network. Vanderbilt Hoops got the 68-66 win over Kentucky last night for their first road win over the Cats since 2007. Big man Liam Robbins left the game with an injury and did not return. Vandy will host to Mississippi State on Saturday night. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Tonight, your Nashville Predators hit the road to take on the Florida Panthers. Coverage begins at 5 on your home for Smashville. WPRT-FM Pegram, WBUC HD2 Laverne, 1025 and 1063 The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. TD is with us for the TD Power Hour at the Combine in Indianapolis. Happy Combine to you, TD. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Happy Combine to you. I apologize for the library voice. I'm actually here watching the drill, so I can't speak too loud, but, you know, no days off. We got to make it happen.
TD, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm excited. We have breaking news. The NFL has announced Jerome Boger is retiring as a referee from the NFL. The days of Jerome Boger, and he's not the only horrible one on his crew. They're all bad. But consistently, his crew has been the worst crew, or one of them, in the NFL for years and years and years. And apparently our long nightmare is over. Jerome Boger is retiring from the NFL. We wish him nothing but the best because he does seem like a good guy, just a bad ref. TD, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's been a long time coming. I know a lot of fans dislike him, and some media types don't like him either. I wish him the best. And obviously there are plenty of calls that he probably needs to take back. But, hey, you know, at some point, he had to hang him up, so congrats to him for that.
Now, I will say this, only because we just are probably never going to get to play this ever again on the program. And again, the news is that Jerome Boger is retiring from the league. TD, you remember the 2019 Saints-Titans game where Khalif Raymond got decapitated in the middle of the field and fumbled the ball?
Yes.
And Jerome Boger's crew did not throw a flag, and the Titans ended up losing to the Saints. Now, Boger would later make up for it 2 years later when the Titans played the Saints, and they got that phantom roughing the passer on Ryan Tannehill. But it takes me back to Floyd's reaction of the Jerome Boger missed decapitation of Khalif Raymond in 2019. This may be the last time we ever get to play this.
The bottom line is that this guy needs to be out of the NFL. And I've never, ever said that about a ref or a crew. But this guy cannot ref in the NFL anymore. You cannot miss calls that are that obvious, that blatant on a continual basis. I mean, we've been talking about him for he hasn't been in the playoffs since 2014 because and everybody makes the playoffs, over a period of a year or two. Well, they haven't made the playoffs. Why? Because they can't grade high enough. They are hated by everybody in the league, and we just can't. The integrity of the officiating group is at stake here. Whoever's going to be in charge of the officials, your reputation's on the line. I mean, if you're keeping people like this around, it's a disservice to the NFL. It's a disservice to the fan base. It's a disservice to the players. Everybody. I mean, it's just got to go. They got to go.
Finally, Jerome Boger's retiring. We wish him nothing but the best. We may never get to play that cut again. TD, at the Combine, what are you hearing on the Titans front, both on the record and behind the scenes?
I thought you were going to say off the record. I'm like, hey, you wanted to? No, I mean, the quarterback situation is interesting. We heard what Rand Carthon said, and then we had Tim Kelly speak on it as well. I think Tannehill is going to be around. That's kind of the vibe that I've been getting. I think he's going to be back. I do know that C.J. Stroud is a guy that they really like. I'm just not sure if they'll be able to pull the trigger to move up to get him. It's probably going to take, at a minimum, going up to the Arizona pick. And that is a pick that Monty Ossenfort said is open. Like, they're open for business if there's a deal to be had. So that's pretty much what I've heard. Very possible that Bud Dupree is going to be back. It's just they have to weigh that, the contract against the lack of production. But they have a full understanding. The people that I talk to, they, it's clear that there's a difference with him on the field. So it's just a matter of placing a value on that difference that he makes when he's on the field.
All right, let's start on the Stroud front. What specifically have you heard about the Titans' interest in C.J. Stroud?
From what I've heard, he's the guy that they like the most out of all the top ones. So obviously with Bryce Young, he could do everything. He has that Patrick Mahomes I'm comparing styles, not greatness, but he has that kind of playmaking ability, to make something out of nothing. But Stroud is the accuracy that I've been told is what they really like. Accuracy, anticipation.
Okay. I think that's some news, TD. I think that is kind of a scoop. That the quarterback the Titans like in this year's draft, as of right now, according to TD, is C.J. Stroud. How do you feel about that? How do you personally feel about Stroud? Forget about what you're hearing the Titans feel about him. How do you view him, not just as a prospect, but his fit with the Titans?
Yeah, I think there's a fit there, without a doubt. He does have some mobility that you will need. So in the way that their offense has been, getting a quarterback on the move, rolling them out, booting, and those type of things, I like him on RPOs as well. But I agree that he's the top guy. I'm in love with the accuracy. That's the thing that really strikes me. I just wonder, I think he's a really good player. I just wonder how he would be in a situation where you don't have Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming, Jackson Smith and Jigba. How much was that having great receivers and being a great quarterback, or how much was it, weighing that, figuring that out?
So when it was reported a couple weeks ago, and again, the Bears blog, I know who the Bears source is on that, so I feel comfortable in giving at least a little credence to it. But there was the report that the Titans had called into Chicago to reach out about the number one pick. Do you think that was probably about Stroud?
I don't know. I think it was just about, hey, checking to see. So that way, if there's somebody that they really like, that they'll be in position and know what it would take to move up. I don't, it's tough for me to say because I don't want to say it and then someone say, hey, he said that they were looking to move up specifically for Stroud. I don't want to put bad information out there. So I'm not going to say that that's what it was.
college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get up to 38% off in every department, including 4K TVs, furniture, computers and tablets, housewares, mattresses, smart home, and more. We have all of your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 3 years free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knesvik here for Superbook Sports. And listen, make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports, just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, check out some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app or visit superbook.com to start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company.
If there's a game-changing pass rusher that the Titans can take with the 11th overall pick, do it. Add to that firepower on defense. This is a long-winded way of saying that in the past, there would be guys that you would like or you would say, oh, if the Titans can just be there at 24 and they can take this guy and I'm telling you that at 11, given the circumstances, they don't need a running back, but they need pretty much everything else. Given the circumstances at 11, the Titans should be able to pick a day one starter at a position of need unless they choose to take a quarterback and sit the quarterback behind Tannehill. And that's a good spot to be in.
Stillman and Company, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With prices rising on everything from gas to groceries, receiving a tax refund will be especially important this year for many Americans. Here's Jackson Hewitt's Chief Tax Information Officer, Mark Stieber.
We know that taxpayers are planning for their much-needed tax refunds to provide relief. As Jackson Hewitt approaches its 40th tax season, we are hosting for the first time a Double Your Refund sweepstakes. It not only provides clients the opportunity to have their tax return filed with an experienced tax pro to maximize their refund, but also the chance to win a double refund.
The contest runs until April 2nd. Some rules apply.
File with Jackson Hewitt to be entered into the sweepstakes, or you can mail in an entry form. 40 grand prize winners will get a double tax refund cash prize equivalent to their federal tax refund. And 40 weekly runner-up winners will win and receive $400.
File early for a chance to double your refund. For more information, visit jacksonhewitt.com.
All of us at Cromwell Media, who owns this radio station, are recognizing two special teammates this month. Andrea Kamer is celebrating her 16th year as our corporate business manager. It's no secret, Andrea is the glue that holds everything together around here. And we're saluting Caroline Fenton, one of our stellar co-hosts of the Midday Show on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, as she wraps up her second year with us. Andrea and Caroline, you are what makes this a special place to work. Want to join our team? Send us a note at together@cromwellmedia.com.
More than 95% of people incarcerated will come home like I did. I'm William Arnold, director of the new Tennessee Office of Reentry. When they come home, we want to be ready to help remove barriers to employment. It's okay if you've been incarcerated or justice involved. Help is available. Go to tnworkready.com or visit your local American Job Center.
Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
tnworkready.com.
Sports and leadership go hand in hand. In fact, 94% of women executives were student athletes. Play Like a Girl is creating a more equal playing field for the next generation of women in leadership. You can help too. Become a mentor, donor, or volunteer. Learn more at iplaylikeagirl.org/mentor.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The financial constraints that you have and 6 picks enough?
Sure. I'm never going to say that it's not enough. I don't know any different. We're all at the same point. You know, nobody's going to win. Somebody's going to win March, and they're going to, they had the best free agent class. I'm pretty sure that the Chiefs didn't win March in free agency, but they developed and continue to improve, and that's just, I guess, where we were a little different this year. I felt like we grinded out some games. Lost a close one here or there, but where we normally had been at our best and finding ways to improve. We just weren't able to do it this year, which was reflective of, how we finished the season. And felt like maybe, if anything, we just sat down at the blackjack table a little too long. And I think probably the odds ended up not in our favor. But, we know what the formula is here, and we're going to get back to work and excited about those players that will be coming in on April 17th. And then, starting the offseason program and then seeing where we go in the draft.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel. And I do wonder, on this front, you made that comment, TD, about the blackjack table, but about getting things back to where they were, and yet all the questions still surround quarterback. So you talked about you feel like Tannehill is coming back. You brought up that the Titans are interested in C.J. Stroud, but they don't think they'll be able to get him. What do you think the Titans think of the future at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I think it's up in the air. Obviously, we know Tannehill is his time with the Titans is near this end. He says that he still has a lot of football left, but I mean, at some point you gotta change it over, and you got to get that guy of the future. So I think they're keeping that eye on the future. The one thing that I do want to say is with Malik Willis, and Rand Carthon was complimentary of Malik Willis. I asked Mike Vrabel how things have been different, and he just challenged Willis to, carry himself and be on at all times as a quarterback. Like when you're that guy, you have to be on. But he said that he likes the way Willis has been, just as far as conducting himself and going throughout the day-to-day things that they're doing at this point. So Willis, in my opinion, is still in the mix. And we know, as he was talking about quarterbacks, he put Josh Dobbs' name in there as well.
So what do you think that they think, big picture? Like, they're sniffing around quarterbacks in this draft. I mean, I feel like they're going to be too good with Vrabel and Tannehill to be able to get a quarterback at the draft without having to do something like Andy Reid did. So what do you think they feel like long-term? Do you think it's like roll with Tannehill and then go from there? Or do you think that they think it's more like at some point we have to make the move? I don't know when, but we have to strike at some point.
Yeah, I think it is at some point you have to make the move. The thing that they have to balance is, okay, this is the best pick that they've had in quite some time. This is a team that's typically picking in the back half of the draft, unless you have a fortunate situation like the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. You're not going to be able to go and get a guy at a late pick like that. So I think that's where they are. And that's where it gets really interesting as far as like striking while the iron is hot, so to speak. You're at 11, so now you could bump up and get a guy, but at the same time you still have one. You have all these team needs. also. So it's a tough situation for them to be in.
TD, what do you think about the other spots on the roster? I heard the comment Mike Vrabel made about the offensive line, and we hear him talking about wanting to get faster and more explosive. So let's start with the offensive line. What are you kind of hearing and thinking as the combine continues to progress?
Yeah, well, not really hearing much along the lines of those guys. They'll be coming in. They're here now. I believe they're going through meetings and stuff today. So I would imagine some more stuff will come out tonight. So it's just one of those things you got to kind of, set the grass on fire so the snakes come out, so to speak. But I haven't heard anything from them. I do know just from watching, this is a very deep class as far as tackles are concerned. And it's not necessarily top heavy. I talked to, Will Anderson. He was asked about the top tackle that he had to face, and he mentioned Darnell Wright from Tennessee. And this is a guy that's not getting top 20 conversation. He's someone that you could probably get if he moved back. But I mean, I mentioned his name just as a way to look at the depth, right? You got so many guys. I mean, this is something that Chase and I talked about last week. I mean, you got DeJuan Jones, who's a monster of a man at Ohio State. You flip it to the other side, Paris Johnson Jr. Up top. So there's depth there. And even on the interior part of it, too, there's some really good guards, centers. This is an area where the Titans can fill some needs, but it's just, is this a team that is okay with starting so many rookies along the offensive line?
What did you make of Mike Vrabel's comment the other day when Jim White asked maybe 3 new offensive linemen, and in like a very Vrabel, I call it Vrabelese, but like in a very Vrabelese moment said it could be 5 new starters on the offensive line. What did you make of that comment?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I guess he was kind of like saying there could be 5, meaning like, hey, I mean, there could be 2. You know what I mean? It's just, that's one of those Vrabel type of things that he's not going to give you much, So I think that was more or less him saying like it could be to the extreme.
See, I heard that and I thought to myself that was his way of sending a message to Petit Ferrer saying like, I need more out of you. Because I mean, I don't want to sit here and say that I pencil him in. I don't pencil him in at right tackle right now, but I pencil him in on the starting lineup of the offensive line just because how are you going to go out there and replace, 5 guys in one offseason? But that was kind of my gut to it. And then it makes me wonder about kind of the Ben Jones situation as well.
Yeah, well, it definitely makes you wonder about Ben Jones. You have a guy that's getting those concussions like that this late in life. I mean, that's a tough situation. He could very well retire. I mean, that's something else you have to consider. And that's the case, man. You're replacing 4 guys on the offensive line. That could be really tough.
TD, what did you make of the comments that Rand Carthon made in comparison to Vrabel about the quarterback? Now, I think both you and I think that Tannehill is going to be the quarterback, but Rand Carthon said that Ryan is a Titan and will be a Titan, and it said that he looks to working with him going forward. And then Vrabel was kind of asked by Joe about Tannehill and was like, well, we want the best players at every position. And for a team that uses the word alignment so much as far as the coach and the general manager, that didn't completely feel aligned.
Yeah, it didn't completely feel aligned. I think it was one of those things where you have the coach saying, hey, look, man, we want competition at every position. And it just like anything, we could all interpret questions a different way, right? So I think that's more or less how Rand Carthon interpreted it from a perspective of, hey, look, he's under contract. This is the guy. We're going to move forward. We're, excited to move forward with him. But I thought it was interesting because he said he will be a Titan, and then he mixed in the for now part. So it's like you're playing both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? And there is no commitment. And that's the thing that's interesting to me is, if these guys really don't want to have these questions continue to be asked, commit to them and move on. You know what I mean? So that's the part that you really have to wonder what the deal is.
TD, you brought up that you think that Bud Dupree it may be back with the Titans. Last week when they were making their cuts and it was Lawan and then it was Woods and then it was Bullock and then it was Zach Cunningham, I was like, well, Bud Dupree's next. And we have obviously not seen that. Rand Carthon, gave it the non-Rand Carthon answer of basically we'll see on the Bud Dupree front. You said that you wouldn't be surprised now if Bud Dupree is back, given that contract. Do you think that maybe Bud is willing to take a pay cut and that might be part of the discussion? Or what is leading you to think that the team that has vowed we want to be less injured is going to bring back Bud Dupree?
Well, I think what it is the realization of how different the team is with him on the field. I mean, look at it. Bud Dupree on the field, what happens? Jeffrey Simmons, career year. Danico Autry, career year. Harold Landry, career year. It's not a coincidence. I'm not going to give all that credit to Bud Dupree, but I think, some of that should be given. There is an impact there. And even you talk to Kevin, I talked to Kevin Byard, I talked to Rashad Weaver. They've said, having him on the field, it gives them a different energy. It has them like they play differently when he's in the lineup.
Do you think that Bud's going to take a pay cut?
That's a question that is really tough for me to say because I haven't talked to Bud or anybody in his camp since locker cleanout. But he did say that, he wants to be back. He hopes to be back. So that being said, maybe he does take that cut. But I honestly can't give you an accurate answer.
TD is live at the Combine, 615-737-1025. Get your questions in for TD as we will hit them at the end of the hour as we always do. But I made a mistake today when figuring out how we were going to put this show together. It's the Combine. We have got to get to some of TD's guys. Who are TD's guys? And you know what I'm talking about. The guys that TD talks about all draft year. Then we forget about them after the Titans don't take them. And then every time we watch some random NFL game, they'll talk, that was a great play by that guy. Oh, wait a minute. How do I know that? Oh, yeah, he's one of TD's guys. So who is TD looking for? We will get to that coming up. 615-737-1025 as the Combine testing gets underway. And then Mel Kiper's got the Titans going offensive line at 11 in his latest mock draft. What's TD think of that? We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hi, I'm Jussi Saros. And this is Smashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by Jussi Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The saga continues worldwide. Wu-Tang Clan and Nas present New York State of Mind Tour 2023. Bridgestone Arena, September 20th. American Express card members, you can get early access to tickets. The pre-sale is available now through Thursday, March 2nd at 10 p.m. Before the general public on Friday, March 3rd at 9 a.m. For Amex early access, visit Ticketmaster.com. Supply is limited. American Express terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Jewelry business, it's in my blood. I've been doing it all my life, and it's my passion.
Meet Daniel Sabalas, a third-generation jeweler at Genesis Diamonds.
This line of work, it's all about honesty and trust. It's about building relationships.
And that's what drew Daniel to Genesis, where it's all about education, transparency, and respect for each customer.
It's based on a family business mentality, and that's how we are. We're here to educate, to guide you, and we make it very easy. So we really go out of our way to educate customers in the right way. There's no stress level, there's no tension. The customer can feel that.
All this while providing the guaranteed best value price.
I've never seen a company that has the best price like this that I've seen anywhere. We are a powerhouse of diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds. No commission salespeople, no pricing games, no risk, no pressure, no cutting corners.
Genesis Diamonds is going to give you the best price, best quality, guaranteed, no matter what.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments so the first payment is not until summer of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and in the past, hair loss was inevitable, but now you have a choice for thicker, fuller hair. Trust the experts with 45 years of experience at Hair Club. They've helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair again. No matter your age, stage of hair loss, or budget, Hair Club can customize a solution for you. And for a limited time, you can get 10% off when you book a free consultation today at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Number 11, are you interested in moving up? You'd like more picks? I know it's a ways off, but what do you think?
Well, we're always open for business. All the guys, you got my number, call me. But no, it's always about just being open to try to continue to add value. And so we'll listen and field every call and kind of see what comes from it.
There you go. That was Rand Carthon. He's saying, hey, that number 1 pick is open for business. And it kind of, hey, everybody's got my phone number. Titans can move up. Titans can move down. Mel Kiper's got the Titans taking Paris Johnson Jr., the left tackle out of Ohio State, in his latest mock draft with the 11th overall pick. TD, let's start with your guys to watch at the Combine, because I remember last year I was in San Diego for some random reason doing the show. And we were talking about the Combine, and you said, watch the tight ends run because Chig Okonkwo out of Maryland was one of TD's guys. And then Chig ran a 4.5. And then next thing you know, Chig's a Titan. And so with that, we know that it's still early in the draft process, and you've watched a lot of tape. Who are the TD guys to watch as we approach the real testing getting underway at the Combine?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bunch of them. I really, really like Will McDonald, the 4th out of Iowa State. He's a guy that he's a freak athlete. If you go on YouTube, you could search him literally jumping over a truck. Like he takes a couple steps to a truck like an SUV and jumps over it. He's going to be freaky. The linebackers haven't worked out yet, so he's somebody. I like Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati, very, very fast receiver. He has the acceleration also to go with that. He's a guy that could catch a short pass and take it a distance. A lot of us mentioned Jalen Hyatt, and he is outstanding within his own right. But I think Tyler Scott is a very explosive player. He's out of Cincinnati, so that's another one. I like Riley Moss also, and I talked to him today, and he's a white cornerback.
What position does he play?
And he's a cornerback, and he's white. And I just, we talked about the stereotypes, and he told me that a lot of times, the first time out there, they want to test them. And the thing that I love is, sometimes I'm talking to a guy, you could tell if he's a dog or not. And he looked me right in the eye, and he was like, I love it. And I'm just like, bring it. You know what I mean? And if you watch him down at the Senior Bowl, he ran one of the fastest times by the DBs, 19 miles an hour. He'll play the nickel. I think he fits perfectly with what the Titans want to do as far as having that nickel guy that can also turn and run with fast receivers. So he's someone I think would be really good. One other note, talking to Derek Hall from Auburn. He's an edge guy. He really liked being down there in Mobile working with Clinton McMillan, who is one of the Titans' defensive assistants. I like him as a prospect, also very strong. He likes to use that stab, but he works moves off of it, layers them, stab club, et cetera. So that's another guy. Try to just kind of run through some of the ones. Obviously, Zay Flowers, you've heard me mention him multiple times. But as far as guys to watch, testing-wise, tight ends, Luke Musgrave out of Oregon State, he's going to test really well. He had an outstanding Senior Bowl. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys that I really like, but those are some of the ones that I'll really be looking for in testing and things today.
TD, you know what's crazy to me is that normally in a draft, we go into it and say, okay, the Titans have this need, this need, this need, and this need. Now, offensive line is certainly a need. And yet I feel like the Titans, not to sound like a coach, but I really feel like outside of running back, the Titans can probably use good players at every single position. I mean, they could use another inside linebacker. They could use another outside rusher. They could use another corner. They could use another tight end or another receiver. So when they're given that kind of freedom, how much do you think that will help their ability or maybe even mold their first round draft plans?
Yeah, it's really interesting because at 11, you're guaranteed to get a really good player. And, I talk about corners. I didn't even mention Devin Witherspoon. He's basically a smaller version of Jai Alexander, to kind of give you a picture of how he plays. Kelly Ringo also, who is out of Georgia, he was clocked at 23 miles an hour during the game. So that's another guy. But I say that to say, if you look at the cornerback position, whether it's Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon, those guys could very well be there at 11. And now it's like, okay, a Gonzalez who's a ball hawk, loose hips, everything that you want in a corner, excellent footwork, speed, he's that. Oh, and by the way, he's 6'2". So I think, when you look at these type of players, this is a team that was 32nd in the league in pass defense. A lot of that has to do with the guys on the back end, but it also has to do with the front end. So I think at 11, look, one of those guys are there. The Eagles pick at 10. I don't think they're going to let one of those guys pass, but another one could be there at 11. Wouldn't be surprised.
Didi, what do you make of Mel Kiper's pick of Paris Johnson with the 11th overall pick? I asked Trevor Maddich about kind of the tackle position, and he said that he thinks Paris Johnson has the best ability of the potential tackles the Titans could take. He says Peter Skoronski, who Mel has going at 10, the left tackle out of Northwestern, might actually profile more as a guard than as a tackle. What do you think of Paris Johnson, and what do you think of the Titans if they are looking tackle? Do you think that they could trade down in the first round and still get a starting quality left tackle, or do you think if they're going to go tackle in the first round, it's got to be at 11 or even sooner?
I think they could trade down. I think they could grab a right tackle and flip Petit Ferrer to left. They could do that as well. So the thing with Skoronski, a lot of times that guard label gets placed on him because of his short arms. But if you go and watch the Chargers last year, Rashawn Slater, he has short arms. He got the same knock, and he had a Pro Bowl caliber year. So Paris Johnson, though, I think when you look at him, he's a proven player. He's a guy that has plenty of starts. I think you look at the ability, the size and everything, he could definitely come in and immediately be, a 10-year player for the team. So I think that's a outstanding part of it. It's not a sexy pick, but if he's there at 11, I would strongly consider that. And he's probably the best left tackle in this draft.
Would you put Broderick Jones out of Georgia in the same category with those two?
Yeah, I think I go Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, and then Skoronski. That's the way I look at it. But I mean, the difficulty in all this is you have to factor in your right tackles as well. And just, and you can't forget about Darnell Wright. I think that's something you mentioned, trading down and getting a left tackle. I think you trade down and get a Darnell Wright and flip either him or Petit Ferrer to the left side. I would probably go Petit Ferrer because he has, a good amount of starts on both sides. That's the way I would do it. But there's a lot of options there that you could do.
Now, I talked about this on either Monday or Tuesday show, but Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle out of San Francisco, I don't think he's going back to San Francisco. I think he wants to be on the Titans. I have no idea if the Titans want him. I think there's a comfort level given the offense, given Rand Carthon. And I know that McGlinchey looks at himself as either a right tackle or a left tackle, played left tackle at Notre Dame. Then when he got drafted by San Francisco, they had Joe Staley. And then after Joe Staley retired, they got Trent Williams. So they've kept him on the right side the whole time. He's ranked as a top 50 free agent and he does want to come here, at least from what I've gathered. What kind of impact do you think that, one, what do you think about the Titans signing him if he does want to be here, and how would that impact your feeling about the line and the draft?
Yeah, I mean, it would obviously change things because you get a guy that's, a proven tackle. And again, it allows you to, what we talked about, flip, or you could even put him on that side. If I was him, I would be talking the same because I want people to know that, I would want to go to the Titans because they obviously have a need at left tackle, and left tackle money, let's face the facts, they get paid more, even though, there's plenty of well-paid right tackles. So I get it. It would give them flexibility, I think, but I just wonder at what cost it would be. And, I think, he or Andre Dillard would be really good options. And I don't think either one would necessarily break the bank, but he would get more money, in my opinion, signing with the Titans because of the possibility of playing left tackle.
TD, what about the receivers? Because when I look at the mock drafts, they really don't have the receivers going towards the top of the first round. I do think the Titans, after cutting Robert Woods, even before cutting Robert Woods, have a need at receiver. And I am intrigued by the names out there, whether it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jalen Hyatt, Quentin Johnston, or Jordan Addison. Do you view receiver as a position that the Titans could either get the best one at 11? Would you want to trade down in the first round? Would you want to wait later in the draft at receiver? How do you view that position and the Titans? And on that front, how important is the medical checkup going to be for Jackson Smith and Jigba? Or can the Titans not take the risk given the problems they've had with the injured players in the past?
Yeah, I don't think they take the risk, but I think the medicals are going to be huge. It's a big time thing that they have to figure out with him. When you have an injury like that and it costs you a season essentially, and it lingers the way it did, like I don't know that you do that, especially at pick 11. I think it would be best for them to move back. And a lot of people point to Quentin Johnston and say he's the top receiver. I like him. His game is pretty good. He doesn't always play to that size. And I mean, look, man, Keely Ringo and the Georgia DBs, he disappeared. Like, they eliminated him. But he's still a good player. I say that to say Zay Flowers, honestly, is a guy that I would probably take first out of all the receivers. And you can't forget Jordan Addison because he's such a smooth route runner. He's a technician. He's essentially like, people have compared him to Marvin Harrison. I wouldn't necessarily do that, but he's a guy that he's Robert Woods younger. You know what I mean? Just as far as a guy you can always trust, he's going to be where he has to be. Consistent hands, will get you some yards after the catch as well. So I think when you look at him, that's another option. You could go later in the draft too. Like, you don't have to get a receiver on day one. There are guys that you can get, depending on what you want. You want a bigger receiver? Hey, A.T. Perry from Wake Forest is there. I really like Xavier Hutchinson, the way he's able to, he's more of a possession guy, right? But he does a good job, varying his speed within his routes. It's a lot like Keenan Allen. Just to kind of give you a picture of like his style of play. He's a guy that, like I said, would be a possession guy, but he's very short-handed. He'll get you some yards after the catch, but he's someone that in a passing offense, which the Titans may have, he could get you, 80 to 90 catches. It'd be like that type of player.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Get your questions in for TD. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. If you've got your draft thoughts, TD is live at the Combine. It is Stillman and Company. We are right to your draft questions for TD next, right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Gary Ashton here. People walk up to me all the time and say, don't sell without the intel. This message couldn't be more true. Right now, it's a fantastic time to buy or sell your home in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. No one has more intel than the Gary Ashton team. So what is this intel we keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without stagings or showings? Intel on where to find your next home so that you can sell your current home while the market is hot? And intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity. For more intel, visit GaryAshton.com, where we can give you the insight and the most up-to-date real estate intel in Nashville. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate team of the Nashville Predators. Get the confidence to sell your home and find the dream address without the stress. Visit us today at GaryAshton.com. That's GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Golfers teed up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Callaway, featuring the Paradigm Woods and Irons. The Paradigm Woods are engineered with forged carbon to have unparalleled distance and forgiveness. The Irons feature a high-strength forged face for increased launch, speed, and spin. A new paradigm in performance. Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Unmatched expertise, unmatched service.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
Start your day with a cup of Joe. Ugh, he's gonna think that's stupid.
Wait, what?
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. There, that sounds better.
Thank you so much.
Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, TD Power Hour. Teron Davenport, as always, with us at the Combine. TD, do you have a thought, or do you want to go right to the people's questions?
To the people.
To the people. Ryan says, phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, by the way. Ryan says, TD, with the Titans' need for better blocking and playmakers, would a trade back in the draft and focusing on tight end Michael Mayer from Notre Dame be something on their docket?
I don't think it's on the docket. I don't think that's something that they would do. I mentioned Luke Musgrave. I mean, there's a lot of, Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. So I don't know that they would go tight end first round. If they were to trade back in that first round, they could still get somebody because, like I said, there's a bunch of guys. Darnell Washington out of Georgia, 6'7", 260 pounds, can move, and obviously he's a blocker. I think if they were going to go tight end, that's the guy that they would probably get, and it may not take a first-round pick to get him. So long story short, no.
Austin from Clarksville says, TD, what do you think of Joe Rexroad's opinion that the Titans should trade the farm in order to go up and draft Bryce Young, including adding Jeffrey Simmons along with 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick to move up with Chicago to number 1?
Yeah, they made a song. It's called Hell no. I don't know if you heard it, but if I thought about it ahead of time, I'd have just had Ian sample that and play that to speak for me.
I mean, I thought it was kind of crazy too. I think that Bryce Young is going to be good, but I can't do like the idea that Bryce Young is for sure absolutely going to be a Hall of Famer. And that's what I think you have to know if you're going to make that kind of trade.
Yeah, that's not one that you do.
Texter says, TD, what about Dalton Kincaid or Lucas Van Ness for the Titans as a possible target at 11?
Yeah, I tell you what, Lucas Van Ness is a dude.
Where's he from?
He's a defensive lineman. He reminds a lot of people of Ryan Kerrigan. Lucas Van Ness he's an Iowa guy, so you're getting a quality player. That program that Kirk Ferentz, that they run there is those guys are coached up really well. He went against really good competition every day in practice, right? With the offensive line. I don't know that they would go that route at 11, but he's a very impactful type of player. I know they're looking at those edge type of guys. As far as Kincaid is concerned, this is the second week in a row we got asked about him. I don't think that he's someone. Well, I am almost sure he's someone that they wouldn't go at 11.
What do you make? A texter asks, what do you make about the Titans' long-term situation with both Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill as far as their contracts are concerned? And could you see the Titans extend one or both of them who are at the end of their deals after this year?
There could be a possibility with Tannehill, to lower that number and make it more palatable. But I think they're going to, unless Derrick Henry has one of those crazy type of years, I don't know for sure that he's going to be back after this year. And that's not to say like he's less of a player or anything like that, but I think that would be kind of when that shift to a more passing offense would happen.
Texter says, why can't the Titans just say that Tannehill is their quarterback next year? They said Tannehill is under contract, but they won't fully commit to him. Do you think that they are trying to draft a QB or trade for a QB? That comes from Caleb.
I definitely think they should draft a quarterback. We haven't really talked about Anthony Richardson, but he's someone with so much potential. I just don't know that they have the ability to bring him along and develop him that way. That he will need to be developed. I think they're
honestly,
going to have to.
I love Anthony Richardson. Like I think he's got all the talent to be a superstar, but there's a lot between where he is now and superstar. But he fires a missile with his arm. Yeah. He's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he's got the big game-changing play in him. I mean, he's got the tools in the toolbox. They just have to be refined. And I don't know if not to throw the Titans under the bus here, I don't know if I trust the Titans coaches to be able to, they're not Bill Walsh and Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan here coaching the quarterback. That would worry me.
Yeah, that's the big problem, right? The QB nurturer, so to speak, is not there. It hasn't been proven, So I think when you're Andy Reid and you can get a Pat Mahomes, you have a history of, making things very quarterback friendly. So yeah, go ahead, make that move, but I don't know that even Kyle Shanahan going to get, Trey Lance. Those are moves you can make when you have guys are in the building that have proven to be a developer of quarterbacks. And that's not necessarily here with the Titans.
Texter says to TD, you said the Titans are interested perhaps in CJ Stroud. What would it take for the Titans to move up, in your opinion, to be able to get that third pick with Arizona and draft CJ Stroud?
Well, one thing is that there's already a connection, right, with Monty Ossenfort having been in the building. I think it's so from 11 to 3. I don't have the trade value chart with me, but I believe it would be like at least one or two what 2 first-round picks, probably a second and third or something along those lines. Because I mean, you're jumping up to 3, so it would be significant. I know that. I know you have the chart and you've looked at that before. So
Steven is up next. Has been waiting patiently with TD. Thank you for calling. What's up, Steven?
What's up, bud? So I just want to say, Teron, since you've come along with the Titans, man, the coverage has been awesome. But I just wanted to ask you both. What we always see Paris Johnson in these mock drafts, the same player over and over. But which player is both of y'all's wild card / favorite players that you've seen? Like, for instance, like mine is Zay Flowers. He may be a trade back candidate, but I see Zay Flowers and I see a ball player, and just wanted to get y'all's take on, who's y'all undercard, wild card player is for the Titans. Thanks, guys.
yeah, no, I share mine with him. We talked about Zay Flowers and literally trading back earlier. He's a smart caller. But no, I think, it goes back to what I said earlier, a wild card at 11, Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon. If those guys are on the board at 11, I mean, it's pretty hard to pass him. Christian Gonzalez, I'll put you like this. Christian Gonzalez is everything that healthy Caleb Farley should have been. But I think he's even better going against route runners because his quickness and ability to, like, his back pedal is really smooth and he could trigger out of that back pedal. So if either of those guys are there, that would be a wild card for me at 11.
My wild card is not at 11, but my wild card as far as the Titans are concerned, and maybe even the draft is concerned, is Hendon Hooker. And that's because, I mean, I love Anthony Richardson's talent. And when I see Jordan Reed say that he talked to an AFC scout who said that Anthony Richardson may go in the top 5 picks, I'm not totally shocked by that because he's got the talent. But Hendon Hooker is, I think there's a chance because of the 5th year that a team will look at it and say, let's trade back into the first round at 29 or at 31 and let's draft Hendon Hooker, get the 5th year. We're going to get, his 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. By that time, we'll know if he's going to be a franchise guy or not. He'll get the opportunity to sit because he's coming off of the injury, but there's not a tool that I don't think Hendon Hooker has. And, look, Matt Leinart, I thought was going to be a freaking superstar in the NFL and never made it. And so to me, there's no way to know deep down inside, situation, injuries, players around him, coaching, those kind of things. But I'm not giving up on Hendon Hooker. I think Hendon Hooker's got an NFL career ahead of him just based off of what I've seen.
Yeah, no, he does. And I mean, you got to remember at one point, this guy was the one that was viewed as the best player in college football, during that nice stretch that they had. So, yeah, I mean, I could get down with that. Just when would you do it? They have 6 picks. Is that an opportunity for you to still build the roster the way it has to be built and then take Hooker? Or I don't know. I don't know. So that's a tough call, but I can understand what you're saying because he is an awfully talented player.
TD, what's in the works for the combine coverage coming up?
Yeah, just we went pretty hard yesterday for talking with TD, and then Chris Sanders and I we had a good segment. So that's what we have on the show, combine coverage wise. Continuing updates on Jackson Smith and Jigba, excuse me. Just social media, man. That's really where you'll see most of the stuff. IG, Twitter. So that's the coverage there.
TD, great stuff as always. Enjoy the combine, and we'll have an update on the TD guys after the testing goes down this weekend. Great stuff. Appreciate you, TD.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you. And again, I apologize for the library voice, the non-enthusiastic voice, but I'm here in the combine with these drills, and you got to keep it down. So my bad.
TD's got to watch players and be on the show at the same time. We understand. TD, as always, joining us on the program. So I actually thought that was pretty newsworthy from TD that he said earlier, the idea that the Titans actually like CJ Stroud. Coming up next, though, Mike Vrabel, in my opinion, Mike Vrabel gave us 2 big hints about what he wants and how he feels about a current issue on the roster. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
They played tough. They came back, and they still lost.
And your source for Nashville sports.
Yes, you want to have a fire sale, but who's going to buy those players?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to JarrettFire.com. JARRETT Fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
For the first time in 25 years, the Doobie Brothers, Tom Johnston, Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, and John McPhee, 50th Anniversary Tour. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, the Doobie Brothers. First Bank Amphitheater Franklin, August 31st. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com. Part of the Farm Bureau Insurance Concert Series.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Mid-State Sports League spring registration is now open. With 7 different sports to choose from, there is something for every player. Join Nashville's largest sports leagues and register as a free agent or bring your own team. Spring registration is now open for softball, sand volleyball, soccer, kickball, flag football, and basketball. For a full list of adult and youth leagues, check out midstatesports.com. That's midstatesports.com. It's no debate. Play Mid-State.
Your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Nashville Predators are back in action tonight as they begin their 6-game road trip down in Florida to take on the Panthers. The team announced yet another trade last night, sending forward Mikhail Granlund to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a second-round pick in this upcoming 2023 draft. Rookie forward Luke Evangelista made his debut on Tuesday. Preds head coach John Hines was on Robbie and Rexroad this morning and talked about Evangelista's first impression.
Even the other night, we had him out on the 6-on-5. Just the way that he played that game, we felt he deserved to be out in that moment, and I thought he did a good job. So a really good young prospect for us. Great debut. Going to get another good opportunity tonight, and we'll just keep going from there and see how he continues to go, and we'll continue to support him and work with him and try to put him in situations for him that's going to be best for his development.
Kevin Lankinen will get the start in goal for Nashville tonight. Pre-game coverage for Preds versus Panthers starts at 5 with puck drop at 6 right here on the Preds Radio Network. Vanderbilt Hoops got the 68-66 win over Kentucky last night for their first road win over the Cats since 2007. Big man Liam Robbins left the game with an injury and did not return. Vandy will host to Mississippi State on Saturday night. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
A betting performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing. And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Combine going down, and now the drills have started. And so we're going to see the 40 times. We're going to see the 3-cone drill. We're going to see the quarterbacks throwing. And I always love how, like, the older sports people hate the combine. Hate it. They joke about it. They call it the Underwear Olympics, and they always talk about how, there's nothing these guys are going to be doing that matters on Sundays, and they're not wearing any pads and helmets and going up against people, and I don't understand what it is. But I feel like if I were 20 years older, I would hate the combine. Instead, I'll probably find myself watching the combine. I like the combine. I get excited about it. Mike Vrabel's at the combine, as is Rand Carthon. And you know, when these guys get in front of the media at the combine, they're not going to tell you, who are you looking at with the 11th pick? Which quarterback do you like? Which quarterback don't you like? Which guy do you think has character issues? Which guy? They're never going to tell you the truth. But with Mike Vrabel, you got to know how to be able to speak Vrabelese. But I think he dropped a couple of hints about how he feels about either the roster or what the team needs to do. And the first was a little side comment. Always check out the side comments when trying to read Mike Vrabel, from a question that Jim Wyatt asked about all of the moving pieces that the Titans have on their offensive line.
You mentioned offensive line, Mike. How big a challenge is you could potentially have as many as 3 new starters next year?
Could have 5, Jimmy. I don't know. I'm not in the prediction business. I don't know, but I know that we're going to find guys that exhibit the way that we want to play within the framework of the rules, and that they finish and they value staying between their man and a quarterback.
So that right there told me that Mike Vrabel is not convinced that Nicholas Petit-Frere is going to be starting on the offensive line next year. That Mike Vrabel is not convinced that they need to bring back Aaron Brewer, a restricted free agent who started at left guard last year, that they need to bring him back. Or that Mike Vrabel is convinced that Ben Jones will be coming back on the offensive line. And I was a little surprised by that, because I think it'd be very easy for somebody like me or you or all of us to look at the offensive line, know that they've got some cap space, know that they've got actual money to spend, because they've got $153 million committed for next year. Their payroll was $217 million. So you're talking about $70 million in this year money. Now, Jeffrey Simmons is going to get a lot when they sign him to an extension, but we're talking about $70 million in the difference between what they've got committed for this year and what they ended up spending last year. And so I know they're going to be in on the free agent market. My guess is 1 high-end free agent, 1 middle tier free agent, 1 high draft pick at either 41 or at 11, and probably 1 or 2 incumbents. And so Nicholas Petit-Frere was drafted in the 3rd round last year, and he started for most of the season at right tackle. Now, I thought Petit-Frere kind of sucked. And I know he was a rookie, and he'll get better because you can't really practice in the NFL. But at the same time, I think Mike Vrabel said might be 5 new starters. I think that was a message to Petit-Frere. That is, when you show up to training camp, don't think you're going to be starting on that offensive line if you don't play well. I thought that was a message to him, but I think it's also a little insight to how Vrabel's thinking. Because once again, that's how Vrabelese works. You have to kind of see that. So when he tells Jim Wyatt there may be 5 new guys, we want guys who finish. We want guys who finish longer than the guy that they're going against. We want guys who are consistent. I thought that was a total shot at Petit-Frere. I think one of the big knocks on Petit-Frere, who has all the potential, he's got the 1st round measurables. He was one of the top recruits in the country. I think the message for me is that maybe he's a little too soft for Mike Vrabel's liking on the offensive line. I mean, Vrabel wants the real dirt balls up front. And maybe Petit-Frere's not that. So when he said maybe 5 new guys, I was like, ooh. So that's the first hint. The second hint is something that I think we all know about what the Titans roster doesn't have and what Mike Vrabel wants. But I think it tells you where he is going to be viewing things as the combine unfolds. And that was when Joe asked him a question about Tannehill, and he was talking about wanting good players at every position and what specifically he has told the scouting staff that he wants on his roster.
We've got some needs and some holes. I've told you that. I've asked them to look for players that have an element of speed, violence, and versatility, and that's what I want to look for. And look for offensive linemen that can protect the quarterback. You know, whether that's Ryan, whether that's Malik, that's Josh Dobbs, whoever that may end up being. Those are things that we have to do a better job at.
See right there, we want speed. We want speed. And he's talking about explosive players. And so I know a lot of you guys, and as I joke about kind of the older society as far as the combine is concerned, I know a lot of you guys don't care about 40 times, or you think it's overrated. And I used to think the 40 time was kind of overrated too. And then I worked with Floyd, and he took the 40 times so seriously. I'll never forget Lamar Jackson, and there were concerns at the combine about Lamar Jackson's weight. And he weighed in, 210, 218, 2 whatever, I can't remember. And then he didn't run the 40. And Floyd said, I don't care. If you don't run the 40, then I don't care about anything else. And that he does care about the 40. Because you can say, well, he looks fast on TV, but if I've got you clocked at 4.4 and the guy that's covering you is 4.6, I know you'll be able to run past that guy. And it was a big deal to him. It was not a big deal to John Robinson. John Robinson drafted Corey Davis, who had suffered an ankle injury and didn't run at the combine, didn't have a pro day. And John Robinson drafted him. And we said, well, how do you know if he's any fast if he didn't run? Well, you watch the tape and you can see that he's got speed. Corey Davis was not a fast receiver here. Vrabel wants fast. Now, here are the positions that he really wants speed at, because these are the speed positions: wide receiver, defensive back, and pass rusher. So you may not care about these 40 times, but I do. Jordan Addison's 40 time matters. Zay Flowers, his 40 time matters, because Vrabel wants speed. And so when he says that he wants speed, and he's brought that up about 6 times now, that means that 40 times matter. That means that A.J. Brown, 4.49, is different than Treylon Burks at 4.55. I actually saw this. The Titans posted up the stats from the combine last year of the guys they drafted. Did you know that Burks at 4.55 was slower than Okonkwo at 4.5? That matters. Going into the combine, Treylon Burks was considered the probably 3rd or 4th receiver. And he ended up being the 6th guy and the last first round guy because he ran a 4.55. And when I was concerned about the 4.55, a lot of people told me, well, he was tracked at Arkansas with a GPS tracker of running the fastest time in a game last season. That doesn't matter, because if you can't do it at the combine when you've been preparing to do it, are you going to be able to run by those guys in the NFL? And who on the Titans at receiver is fast? It's not Burks. Burks may be the fastest guy they have outside of McNabb, but it's not Burks. He's not a speed guy. So Vrabel wants speed. And the 3 positions, he wants speed at corner and in the defensive back. He wants speed at receiver, and he's going to want speed off the edge. He's going to want guys flying off the ball. So keep a look at those 40 times, because at those positions, I think it will matter to Vrabel. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get to your text. 615-737-1025. Plus, Mel Kiper Jr. lays out his plan for the Titans. And I actually agree. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Those are my guys. I have been using Hiller for years, and I am telling you that you will absolutely love them. So right now, as we're starting to get closer to summer, make sure your HVAC unit is in full tip-top shape. because sometimes replacing equipment in your home can be overlooked until something breaks. But there's actually big problems that can come from outdated, old, vintage HVAC systems. Older systems have higher repair costs and usually require more maintenance and result in higher utility bills. Even worse, they can break down when you need them the most. This month during Hiller's Vintage Showdown, they're giving away a free HVAC system to the owner of the oldest unit. It's easy to enter. Just go online to happyhiller.com and submit a picture of your old unit. Plus, everybody will win with trade-in credits and 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on replacements. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Your home for MTSU basketball is 94.9 The Fan.
3 ball, yes sir!
All the big shots and moments live here. MTSU basketball is on a station built for you. 94.9 The Fan.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the fun extends beyond the beach. Because here, the arts are alive, the food is al fresco, and the nightlife is electric. So let's forget the cold and find our place in the sun. Let's explore captivating collections at the Salvador Dali Museum and bask in bay views from the St. Pete Pier. Let's fill up on fresh caught cuisine and catch up over cold craft beer on rooftop patios. Day or night, let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officers. Earn $52,500 after paid training and probation. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or GED. Come, join our family. That's $52,500 with great benefits. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Earn $52,500. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
Sports and leadership go hand in hand. In fact, 94% of women executives were student athletes. Play Like a Girl is creating a more equal playing field for the next generation of women in leadership. You can help too. Become a mentor, donor, or volunteer. Learn more at iplaylikeagirl.org/mentor.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I'm stepping into a situation where a program has been established. There's a certain culture, there's a certain fit in how a player is supposed to look. So I'm learning that. I'm learning that, and I'm going to learn what it takes to be a Titan and what that's going to look like. And so it'll be our job and the personnel staff to go get as many players that fit that particular bucket of that particular position group to allow us all to make the most educated decision.
That was Rand Carthon on SiriusXM NFL Radio, and he's saying, we have got to figure out how to, I've got to figure out what it is to be a Titan, and then we got to figure out how to get those Titan-like players. And he was actually asked in that interview, about the toughness of the Titans and kind of the characteristics of the Titans. And he said, yeah, it's the characteristics of Mike Vrabel. And I do think that that's what Rand Carthon's trying to do, is he's trying to build Mike Vrabel his football team, which does show the whole alignment that they care so much about. So Mel Kiper Jr. was going over the intriguing teams as they get set for the draft on ESPN, and he was asked about the Titans, and here's what Mel Kiper Jr. thinks the Titans should be focusing on with the 11th overall pick.
Is this a team that you think is closer to competing, or are they closer to maybe like retooling? And what would you do if you were the new GM in Tennessee?
Well, I think you got to look certainly at the offensive line is the big issue. And certainly I think about quarterback, we can get to that as well, and what's going to happen there. But the offensive line was a problematic area. Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State, talented kid. Certainly he's going to get better with coaching and more experience. I projected him to the Tennessee Titans. But you think about that division, Indianapolis is going to go get a quarterback, right? Jacksonville's got Trevor Lawrence. They're set. So they're in great shape as well. So I think you look at where we are right now with the Tennessee Titans, and the Houston Texans are going to get their quarterback. We know that. So you have a young quarterback in Houston, young quarterback in Indy, and you got Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. And here's Tennessee sitting there looking at maybe, like I say, the offensive lineman out of Ohio State. So a team right now, we know what Mike Vrabel's done. He's done a phenomenal job coaching this football team. There's areas they need to address, figure out quarterback as well moving forward, but get this offensive line straightened out to the best of their capability so it won't be as problematic as it was this past season.
So somebody texted into the text line and they said, who cares about Mel Kiper? And I'm going to tell you this right now. I think Mel Kiper's plan is exactly what Mike Vrabel's thinking, which is we got to get this offensive line squared away. I go back to the idea that there may be 5 new starters on the offensive line. You got to get this thing squared away. And he uses Paris Johnson as the example. Right now, here's the Titans' offensive line. No left tackle. Aaron Brewer, their undersized guard last season, is a restricted free agent. So, like David Quessenberry, they may not tender him a contract next year. So, no left tackle, no left guard. Ben Jones is in flux. No right guard. Nate Davis is a free agent. You saw Jim Wyatt put in the team's mailbag a month ago that I'd be shocked if he comes back. And Nicholas Petit-Ferrer at right tackle, who I thought left a lot to be desired. Coach Shoup actually said on the show that if he were running the Titans, he would bring somebody in to compete with Nicholas Petit-Ferrer. So as we think about the needs of the Titans and the holes of the Titans, and just because they fix the offensive line or make offensive line a priority doesn't mean that they can't go add a tight end to go with a Conquo or go add some receivers, which they're going to have to do. But I do think that Mel Kiper's right. I do think that offensive line is going to be the priority. And they've got 3 picks where I think they could shape the offensive line. They've got 11, 41, and 72. Now, I'm not saying they're going to use all 3 on offensive linemen, but it wouldn't surprise me if they use 2. I think right now where we sit, I circle 11 and I say that is probably an offensive line pick where we sit today. Then after we go at 11, remember what I said. The Titans last season spent $217 million. Right now, the Titans are committed to $153.7 million. And some people out there in crazy land think they're going to cut Tannehill. So they've got a lot of money to play with. Well, as I've said, Mike McGlinchey in San Francisco wants to be a Titan. And he knows Rand Carthon and has a comfort level with Rand Carthon, fits this system, and has been a solid right tackle for 5 years in San Francisco. So you sign that guy. Let's say he comes in at $13 million a season. Now you're going to have to give him a little bit of a signing bonus, but you're talking about $15 million or so in the first year. So you've given him $15 million, and now right tackle is set. Now Petit-Ferrer can either move to left tackle, or let's say you draft a guy with 11. Let's say you draft Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern or Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. Now you've got your left tackle and you've got your right tackle. Now you can put Petit-Ferrer at guard. Now you've got the 41st pick in the draft. You can use that on the other guard. You can sign a guard in free agency. You can sign an average guard in free agency. On day 4 of free agency, where all the big money guys are all sucked up And then there's a guy that's got starting experience who's a veteran offensive line guy, and you can sign him. And now, with one pick, one free agent signing, one holdover, and one day 3 guy at $6 million, now you have fixed your offensive line, or at least you've got guys out there to play. I agree with Mel Kiper Jr. I think that should be the plan of the Titans, is to fix the offensive line. You've got the running back. You do have a quarterback, which not everybody right now can agree on. Right now, Carolina doesn't have a quarterback. The Raiders don't have a quarterback. Does Atlanta have a quarterback? I don't know. Do the Saints have a quarterback? I don't think so. 2 teams in your division don't have quarterbacks right now. But you got a quarterback, you got a running back, you got a receiver, you got a tight end. You fix the line, you play Mike Vrabel style football. And I don't think you can do it with a terrible offensive line. I know that for years they had been paper clipping it and gumming it and super gluing it together. When a guy like Lawan would get hurt and they'd put in a Ty Sambrilo or a David Quessenberry, or Kendall Lamb and Dylan Radins didn't work out, and so Quessenberry played right tackle. But I think Vrabel's tired of that. I think Vrabel wants a real offensive line. I think Vrabel wants Derrick Henry to run by NFL offensive linemen behind them and not run behind Dennis Daly anymore. I think Vrabel's fed up with that one. 615-737-1025. Texter says, phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Until you fix the offensive line, you can't bring in a young quarterback to this team. They'll be murdered in their first year and end up like Mariota. I still believe the Titans did more harm than they did help Mariota. Texter says, some of us have been trying to tell you this for years, but the idiots in the parade just keep marching to the same old never-ending quarterback tune. I mean, I didn't think the Titans' offensive line needed a complete rehaul last year. I begged Morgan Moses, the right tackle for the Ravens, who signed a 3-year, $15 million deal. I was willing to give him $25 million because he's a starting right tackle. And I begged for them to sign him, and they didn't do it. And I never thought the idea of a 270-pound guard was going to be okay. And Lawan had played enough and okay enough at left tackle the previous year that they almost had to give Lawan this year. But then once Lawan got hurt, it was like, all right, that experiment is over. No more of that. We're not interested in that one anymore. Texter says, Jerry Rice didn't run a 4.3 40. It's not all about the speed. You go sit there and try to tell Mike Vrabel that. The one thing that I will always tell you, and this is why we talk about the rule and not the exception. Jerry Rice didn't go number 1 overall. Jerry Rice went 16th. But if you draft exceptions, if you say to yourself, well, I know he didn't run the 40, but I see the tape. He looks fast enough. Draft him. Tom Landry said to Bill Parcells, if you draft exceptions, pretty soon you will have a team full of exceptions. And I think with a 270-pound guard last year, Mike Vrabel is tired of exceptions. Corey Davis was an exception because he didn't test, and that didn't work. Treylon Burks was an exception because he ran a 4.55. And I like Burks, but as of right now, he, certainly didn't replace what was lost. Injured guys all the time. Farley, he was an exception. He didn't play any college football after 2019. He'd had a back surgery, didn't work out, didn't run any 40s, didn't go to the combine, didn't do any of that. And again, if you draft exceptions, pretty soon you'll have a team full of exceptions, and I think Vrabel's sick of that. I think Vrabel wants a guy on the outside that can freaking run. And I agree. I think Vrabel wants a T. Higgins, a guy who's got all the goods. And so I don't expect the time. I think the 40 times and stuff matter. By the way, am I reading this right? That Nolan Smith at Georgia just ran a 4.45?
I think you
as
did.
An outside rusher?
Yeah, I think you saw that correct. Yep.
Holy crap. That is something. A 4.4 40-yard dash for a pass rusher. Unbelievable. And this guy didn't even play last year, and he ran a 4.4. Unbelievable. What would he have been on Georgia's defense if he had played all season with that unbelievable defense? 615-737-1025. The Preds are wheeling and dealing. They got a game tonight. Do we even care anymore about how they play? Because I guess they, in theory, are still in the chase for the playoffs, and they're not bad enough to get the number one pick, but they're going to be playing a bunch of young guys. Hal Gill is in Florida. He will join us next on the program. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I think it's a really good move.
TD, it's never the offseason for ESPN's Teron Davenport.
I mean, that's something you obviously have to look at.
He's always talking about what's next for the Tennessee Titans.
Quarterback is a really important thing that they have to get determined.
Check out TD, Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, and Friday mornings at 8:30. Plus, the Talkin' with TD podcast.
Looking forward to that.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
The saga continues worldwide. Wu-Tang Clan and Nas present New York State of Mind Tour 2023. Bridgestone Arena, September 20th. American Express card members, you can get early access to tickets. The pre-sale is available now through Thursday, March 2nd at 10 p.m. Before the general public on Friday, March 3rd at 9 a.m. For Amex early access, visit Ticketmaster.com. Supply is limited. American Express terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
There's nobody on the planet who's as picky when it comes to diamonds as Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon.
I'm very, very selective on the diamond that I pick.
Indeed, Boaz will look at 2,000 diamonds on the world market and find maybe 2 or 3 that meet his criteria.
What most people don't know, and even jewelers, a diamond has much more than the 4 C's. He has maybe 20 C's.
Like the diamond's luster grade or brilliance level, its feathering, its inclusions, its table, its polish, its symmetry, even the diamond's own DNA or X-ray report, which most jewelers don't even know about.
I refuse to sell diamonds that don't go through our very, very strict criteria.
Which means a Genesis diamond is one she can be proud to wear with the most sparkle and brilliance and real intrinsic value.
This is my goal, to go all over the world and find only the best hand-selected diamond.
Genesis Diamonds, setting the highest quality standards in the jewelry business. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments so the first payment is not until summer of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Hi, Sarah. I'm sorry I'm late. The traffic is crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't help that gas prices have skyrocketed. I can't believe how much it costs for gas now.
Everyone's talking about how much gas is, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app, and I get cash back for every gallon of gas I buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid real cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yeah, real cash every time I buy gas.
What? That sounds like it could really add up.
I've made around $200 already.
Wow, that's serious extra money. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN90 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN90 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code EARN90 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
On the Friday edition of Chase and Michelle, we'll keep you updated with the trade deadline as it's coming up for sure. Will the Predators make more moves? Plus, we'll talk some college hoops, NFL Combine. Greg Wyshynski from ESPN will join us at 10. The fun begins at 9 here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
So yesterday I had taken one of Solomon Wilcox's voodoo pills called Composure. And I told you all that I was going to give it a try. And I was sitting on the couch watching the Vandy basketball game, which, by the way, was a good basketball game. And all of a sudden, Adam Diggin texted me, and I was very composed. And he told me that Mikhail Granlund had been traded to the Penguins. And I thought, what? Granlund to the Penguins. Did they take all the salary? They did for a second-round pick. I don't know what they were thinking, but I have gone from being very disappointed and upset in my hockey operations of my team for the last 4 or 5 years to a week of just being thrilled by almost every single move that has been made. Hal Gill is in Florida. He's in the booth ahead of tonight's game. So, Hal, let's start there. How shocked were you when you found out that the Penguins not only were trading for Granlund, but were willing to take on that whole contract? What'd you make of it?
Well, it's interesting because I feel like Pittsburgh is fighting. They're on that bubble, and so you don't know which way they're trying to go. But I think Granny gives them that little extra push to try to get them over the hump. So, you can't say enough about what he does. And I know, at times he had a lot of assists and he had some streaky points. And I do feel like he should have more goals than he had. But he did a lot of great things. Face-offs, defensive zone play, push the pace, in and around the net on the power play, all the little things that Granny does. I think that's attractive to a team like Pittsburgh that is trying to add an extra piece to get in there. And it is a good move, like for the Preds, not retaining his salary is huge. Now it's become a whole thing where everyone's trading salary, and it's a little different world than I'm used to, but it's real, and salary is a big part of it. And so for the Preds not to retain anything is pretty impressive.
I think so, too. I think you're being too nice to Granlund because you like Granlund. I think Granlund is on the back nine of his career. I think he is, getting worse. Well, Jared,
I'm just saying he does a lot of things that hockey minds know. That's why I'm trying to tell you. As a hockey mind myself, I'm trying to enlighten you in the fact that he does a lot of little things that maybe don't pop out on the score sheet so you can see it, but he does some great things.
I agree, but I think that we need the guys for the Predators that do the things that do pop out on the score sheet. And so what do we make of kind of the situation the team's in now, Hal? Because I love the picks, because the way I look at it is take as many cracks at it as possible. Some guys are going to flame out. Some of these picks aren't going to be good players. Some of them might be, Roman Josi in the second round, or Patrick Hornquist in the 7th round, or Pekka Rinne in the 8th round, or UC Saros in the 3rd round, or whatever. Which I like, but also with a team that has Josi, Forsberg, Duchesne, McDonough, and that crew with Saros as the goalie, assuming that they don't make any other massive trades going into it, I think that Barry is not going to enter next season with the opinion that this team is not going to try to make the playoffs or be good. I think Barry thinks, let's clear some salary, but with that kind of group in place, make some additions. Get some of these young guys that are going to get ice time experience right now, like Evangelista and Tomasino. Get those guys ready to go for next year. And then I think Barry now has a war chest next season, if this team is good, to go out and make some additions with the added picks they've got. I think it's a great situation that Barry Trotz finds himself in right now. Hal, what do you think?
Yeah. You know what? The interesting part is I don't look at this as a, hey, we're tanking. Well, here, let's go back. You look at a couple of the games where the Preds, like the Boston game, they were outmatched. And I think that was one of those games where, David Poyle and apparently Barry Trotz were going, all right, what are we doing? This team is getting outmatched right now. We show signs of being good, but we're just not there. So let's retool it. And maybe, if they ended up winning a few more games down through the stretch, the last 10 games, maybe they stick around and keep these guys. And if you fizzle out after that, that's a disaster. Right now, you did this before the trade deadline, and it's good timing. So you move some guys on, you clear some salary, you have a war chest, like you said, to deal with. And now you're going into the draft. The draft is going to be interesting to me because the way they're set up right now, and depending on how these guys play down the stretch, don't forget, these young guys are getting their chance to go out and prove themselves and say, hey, I want to be on this club next year, and the team is going to have to plan accordingly. Guys like Cody Glass, Tommy Novak, Tomasino. We're looking at Luke Evangelista now. All these guys, Parsonen, they say, hey, can I be part of the rebuild here? Am I going to be the guy that gets to be included in this? And then you move other parts, you move draft picks, and you get other players, and you could turn this thing around pretty quick if you wanted to. You can be patient with it and maybe wait another year. But I think, like you said, there's a lot of opportunity to flip this around and have a competitive team next year. So I hate to see guys go. I hate having to trade guys, but the way it's been done and the salary that's been unloaded, I think you can turn it around and make some good things out of it if you want to, or it could be 2 years down the road. But that's part of the big scheme that Trotz and Poyle are playing right now.
The one thing I will say, Hal Gill is with us, is that with Yossi, Forsberg, and Saros in place, you're never going to have a team that is going to be picking first or second in the draft. I just believe that with those three guys and average NHLers around them, you'll never have a team that's that bad. And I don't want to be one of these teams that just picks at the bottom of the draft every year, or at the top of the draft. I don't mind picking at the top of the draft 1 year or 2 years, but I don't want to pick every year. And I still think there's a lot of good hockey left out of some of the veterans they have. Hal's our guest. Hal, what do you make of Kevin Lankinen getting the start today, given that the trade deadline is tomorrow? The Predators have already made it be known that they're sellers. Lankinen has a very affordable contract, and much to the chagrin of everybody who doubted the signing, has actually performed very well as a backup goaltender. Do you think that he could be auditioning tonight?
I think I'll take you to a player's mindset. This is your last chance to audition for, ultimately, if you play well, hey, the team, maybe the Preds say, oh, we like this guy, we don't want to let him go. If you play well, then other teams go, hey, we need to get this guy. We just got our final look at him, and we need to trade for him. And this moves the needle. This game moves the needle. So this is a hard time of year for me. I have some PTSD of going through this day, of being trade deadline twice and been talked about it for many times. It's a nerve-wracking time, but ultimately all you can do is jump on the ice and play. And Kevin Lankinen, maybe there's a cup contender that could use that spot. Maybe there's an opening job opening that he gets an early kick at the can for a starting job. So this is a big game for him, and ultimately I think it's a smart move to at least let him get out there and look. Everyone knows UC Saros, so if the trade talks are in the works, everyone knows Juice. But Lankinen is maybe they want one more look at him, and he played really well against these guys in the 7-2 wipeout at home against the Panthers.
I don't think there's any chance that UC Saros gets traded. I don't think there is any chance. The way Barry talked
like Gretzky
about him,
would never get traded, right?
Will deal. Hey, things
right?
happen. Hal Gill's with us.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, I do not think, I'm putting it out there. Hey, Ian, I guarantee UC Saros will not be traded by tomorrow's deadline. I'm guaranteeing the official. Thank you.
Well, Jared, you can take a dump in a box and mark
Hal,
a guarantee, but that doesn't change anything.
Last one for you. The young guys. Evangelista made his debut the other night. I thought he actually played with a little pop in his game. He didn't score or anything like that, but I thought he played hard. I really like, that they're putting the young guys out there. Tomasino, what do you expect out of them? And does this team internally have the mindset that they're still trying to chase the playoffs, even though all these pieces are getting sold around them?
Absolutely. Yeah, I guarantee you they're saying, hey, let's get a win here, put together some wins on this road trip. Chicago is severely depleted. There's some teams that they can beat. So I know that they're trying to get there. The fun part is that these guys are playing fast and playing hard. There's a lot of guys that want their chance. John Leonard's coming in. He wants to show them that he can play, he can compete. Evangelista, how fun was that? He had that one shift, scoring chance, beats two guys out of a corner, scoring chance, dummies Malkin and then draws a penalty and he's getting chirped by Sidney Crosby. That's legendary stuff for a young kid. The question is, how long can he play at that level, and can he take it even to another level up? But he certainly doesn't mind the spotlight, doesn't mind coming into the NHL and showing what he can do. So guys like him, Tomasino, these young guys, how great would it be for these guys to put a run together and ultimately, make the playoffs, but play some meaningful games down the stretch. That's, I think, we're not looking at tanking. I think it's just dumb. You want these guys to get some experience so that you can see what they are and where they should be next year. And if they're meaningful games, then you're getting meaningful performances. And, I just love the energy that they bring. And for the most part, I think the last two games, after everything that these guys gone through with Arizona, like in Pittsburgh, they played fast, faster than I ever have. And I think these young guys bring that energy. So hopefully they bring it tonight and make a run at this. Why not? I'm sure they're saying, why not go out there and give this a good go?
Hal Gill in Florida joining us as always. Hal, great stuff. And, I feel like it's finally good to have me and the hockey team sing eye to eye again with these moves they've made. I'm so happy with some of these trades.
Well, I'm happy that you're happy, Jared. That means a lot to me.
Thank you, Hal. Take care of yourself
you,
and enjoy your very, very long road trip with Max.
All right, you got it. I'll take care of him, too.
Yep, I do assume that Hal and Max are roommates on these trips and even sharing toothpaste. I could be wrong about that. They'll be on the call tonight. Predators game day is around the corner. By the way, phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Texter into the text line says, hey, Jared, for all the excitement and goodwill Trotz has built up by selling and acquiring these assets, it will be all for nothing if he does not take the final step and get rid of John Hines. I do not want him anywhere near a team of full young guys who need coaching and development. So I was listening to Chase and Michelle the other morning, and Chase was like, I don't know what's going to happen to John Hines. And I texted Chase and I go, you are lying. You know exactly what's going to happen to John Hines. He's going to get fired. I think it's pretty obvious. Barry's going to say all the right things. And Hines said the right things today about we get evaluated on a daily basis and everything. They are going to fire John Hines. I know it. So I don't even have the anxiety that they won't do it. I know they will. And John's a good man. And so I'm not going to make a bigger deal out of it than that. But yes, they will fire John Hines. Just trust me on this one. 615-737-1025. Predators game day, Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game.
We are your home for every big pass.
Kevin Harvick takes over the race lead.
Big wreck.
Trouble turn two. One car is around and hard into the outside wall.
And big win.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won the Daytona 500.
Yeah! Woo!
Catch every lap of NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get up to 38% off in every department, including 4K TVs, furniture, computers and tablets, housewares, mattresses, smart home, and more. We have all of your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 3 years free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. It's that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. Make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports. Just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
One is smart.
This has just been a constant trend for this team.
One is funny.
That's right.
Funny looking, maybe. Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Everybody's listening.
Weekdays from 9 to 11. Presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day is presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. TJ Anderson is my realtor, and he does a fantastic job. In fact, he's taken care of 2 home purchases for me, and he's done even more for my friends, and I never hesitate when it comes to referring them to him. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty at tjandersonhomes.com has all of the tools for you to get in there and figure out exactly what it is that you need done for your home, your equity. In fact, I got an email the other day that told me how much equity had been built up in my house. And because I live in Nashville, it's a lot. I think a lot of people are like that, where we could sell our houses, make a lot of money, and not be able to afford to live anywhere close to where we live now. The way the city has grown. That's TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty at tjandersonhomes.com. Predators tonight against the Florida Panthers, and Kevin Lankinen is in net. The Predators are 29, 23, and 6, good for 64 points. The Panthers, a very disappointing 30, 26, and 6, good for 66 points. They need this one, baby. They have got to try to find their way into the playoffs. But Kevin Lankinen in net tonight as the Predators start this long road trip. Why? Because Lankinen very easily could be on the trade block as a guy that could be a hybrid 1-2 or a 2-for-1 that's going to need a blow or something like that. Lankinen has played well this season, and I could see a mid-round pick in exchange for Lankinen as a possibility. That's why I think he's getting the nod as a final audition, and he will go out there for the Predators. Coach John Hines, of course, we start with the coach's tape. Long road trip for the SEC basketball tournament that's upcoming for the Predators. They start in Florida. They go to Chicago. They head out west, and Coach John Hines talks about what's important during that road trip.
To be honest, I think with everything that's gone on and you have a new group, I think, this type of a road trip can be really good for us. I think just guys getting to know each other, spending time together, getting out of Nashville, you kind of just with the group that travels, I think, which is always good and beneficial. And we want to just keep building our game. As I said, we want to come in and continue to win games and put pressure on teams ahead of us, make it a fun run down the stretch.
And they will need that. The Predators are making additions to the lineup. Some guy I have never heard of by the name of John Leonard is going to be recalled from Milwaukee because they traded Granlund and somebody's going to have to play in that spot. So John Leonard, Ian, is he any good?
I mean, he's just a AHL depth forward. I mean, he's kind of just a guy.
He's a Scarbini?
Yep, I think so.
Okay. So they've called up a Scarbini, but Evangelista is out there. He made his NHL debut. 3 players, Juuso Parssinen, Yaroslav Askarov, and him have made their appearance. Why is this Anasiev never getting a call-up, Ian?
Hard to say, man. Hard to say.
So that's it for us. So Chase has got you taken care of. Max and Hal on the call. Preds in Florida tonight. And we will keep our eyes on the latest trade rumors. Stillman and Company. We'll see you tomorrow, too.
Electronic Express